Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to MNW Firing Line, your guide to Multiverse Nexus Wrestling. I'm your host, Jerry Aldini, and tonight, Pete McPherson is still on paid time off. Scott E. Stevens is wrestling a match in upstate New York, and Joe Mojo is attending two family events, so old Jerry is riding solo tonight. With that, welcome to the show, everyone. I know that usually there's, it's been a long time since I've done this show by myself. We'll see how it goes. So with that, how's everyone doing tonight out there in the multiverse? I will be honest, for people asking about Eric Erickson, Eric is busy prepping for Multivania. As such, there was a policy to, just let Eric do what Eric does. If Eric feels like showing up, Eric will show up. Otherwise, I'm riding solo. Because sometimes a man's got to do what a man's got to do. And an announcer working in a production truck where the air conditioning has, in fact, conked out 2 days earlier, will do what he has to do. It'll be great. No, trust me. And with that, so yes, let's address the elephant in the room. We are just over. It's not even, we are less than 2 weeks to Multivania, the biggest show of the year. And as the cards take shape and as people jockey for position, emotions are running high because everyone knows this is the show where all the cards are on the table and everyone's looking to see who can come out on top. And no one takes that more seriously than the representative of the brass, Mr. Lawson. So let's get right into it with Friday Night Flashbang, and let's hear from the Flashbang general manager until they decide what's happening with Mr. Rabbit, Mr. Lawson.
Crimson Phoenix, I need to see you out here right now. After last week, the actions of Jack Andrews have incapacitated Zephyr Tail, and I need to speak with you regarding Apex's World Tag Team title shot. Don't make me wait, Phoenix. We are going to be having a fatal 4-way Tornado Tag Team World Championship opportunity. The Bone Warriors defending against the Mad World and 2 other teams. Apex was supposed to be one of those other teams. However, Zephyr is nowhere to be seen. Yes, well, Zephyr is a bit incapacitated, but I can assure you that Apex is still very much interested in this opportunity. And I suppose you called me out here to rectify that situation, which was only a situation because of Jack Andrews. And Jack will have his hands busy in our main event with Mr. Rabbit. Yes, I see you, Rabbit. And we'll figure out who else is going to be fighting Nero Napier in that last spot. As for you, you need to find a new partner, one of your Apex brethren to tag with you, should you qualify for this matchup. I figured that's where this was going. You see, the Phoenix always has a plan. And I have thought long and hard. There are many worthy competitors in Apex, but there is only one with whom I feel a genuine partnership with. And that would be none other than Ravolos. So there will be Apex's representation. Well, now that we have that taken care of, I regret to inform you I was going to put him in a showcase match coming up next. So, unfortunately, that means you two won't be able to qualify yourselves. So, I hope Apex has another team that you can send down here later tonight to get it done. Another team, you say? A pairing in Apex. to qualify us for Multivania? Well, I can think of only one pairing that would do this particular matchup justice. So, whoever it is you have in mind, I think I can speak with Nero and we'll have a team ready. That's good, because you'll be going up against some old friends. It will be Apex versus Vaporwave, and the winning team will qualify for a title opportunity at Multivania. So whoever it is, I hope that they are ready to win or lose on your behalf and deal with the consequences. And no interference, Phoenix. I know you're kind.
And with that, we learn one more possibility for Multivania should Apex win. And I wonder which pairing within Apex the Phoenix is I wonder who they would send down to face. I wonder. I think it's one of those moments where everyone's like, oh, I get it. But anyway, now the next, there was supposed to be, so we've had an issue going on lately, if you hadn't noticed, where people will come to the ring, like say Artemis will come to the ring ready for a matchup, and as he makes his way to the ring, suddenly there's if a member of Fate's coming out, there's a member of the Empire. In this case, Dark Lord Popo, who recently lost a match to the Creation, earning the Creation a shot at the Beast High Rolled at Multivania. And I'm sure if you're Dark Lord Popo, you want to redeem yourselves in the eyes of Earl King Wes. So maybe you'll attack an Omnislayer. And either way, this is exactly what Mr. Lawson had been complaining about last week. Members of Fate, members of the Empire, just back and forth, and not being able to get into a proper match because whatever has been planned is out the window. And this is just another case. Now, Popo, as we said, Popo is somebody looking to perhaps redeem himself. Because if you remember that match from a couple weeks ago, he was absolutely dominated by the Creation. So beating down an Omnislayer sure is, I'm convinced, a way he thinks he can get back in the good graces of his Lord and Master, the Earl King. And we have on social media, Kathgina, I love this moment, Jerry. It made me smile. Popo did a good thing that night. Kathgina, I'm so sad how dark a path you've gone down. This, as we'll be discussing later when we look at your match. It's unfortunate, but we'll deal with that later. We will deal with that later. In the meantime, that's was supposed to be our first match, but not. But when you have a well-oiled and scheduled show, as Mr. Lawson put together, you've got it. The show must go on. And in lieu of having that original match, it's time for what would have been the next scheduled event on the card, which is actually another message from one half of Hell's Kitchen. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Suicide Gemini.
And oh hark, what is that? But once again to break little old Gemini's heart, AAA involved in a trios match. Whatever will I do with the sheep indisposed for the night? Who will come and play? If not Sheepy, if not Otoro, if not the Fox, perhaps the Frog would like to play. What do you say, Slamphibian? I would love to play tonight, and I happen to be of the opinion that frog legs are, so delicious. So why don't you bring those juicy, succulent legs down here, so that I can make you croak? You see, maybe the sheep had my number, but if I cannot beat a frog, well, then perhaps it is time I go back to the drawing board. You see, sooner or later, things are going to fall my way. After being so close, I could taste it. Now I toil in this muck. So, Slamphibian, please, ignite the spark once more. Give me the joy that I used to have. Hurt me more, even though I know it won't be enough. And once I have eviscerated the frog, like I used to do back in chemistry, I will move on to the next, and then the next. I will reclimb up the ladder, I will scale to the top, and I will reach what I have been trying to claim for way too long. Oh, suffering is such sweet sorrow.
There's a part of me, I know he's been working for a long time now with Samuel Manatee. I know that Gemini has actually worked as a short order cook at the Omega Pub. So there's a part of me that wants to believe that most of what he says are cooking metaphors. I mean, I want to believe that. Maybe a part of me even needs to believe that. But, yeah. That's what we're going to go with. Cooking metaphors, and not the fact that, as several people in the online conversation have been saying, they feel the need for an adult. And no, Grim Reaper, not you. I see you there. When we say adult supervision, we mean something different. Trust me. Okay, well, with that, remember what I said about when there's a member of Fate coming out, there's a member of the Empire waiting in the wings? Well, to be perfectly fair, the reverse is also true. As the Voidwalker himself, Lord V, comes out and to be met by none other than the Sandman. And so a member of Fate returning to give back to the Empire as they received. And let's face it, I would say outside of Graven, I think it's fair to say, I think we can all agree, the Sandman is the angriest man in Fate. He's
This is supposed to be a tag match.
I wouldn't say hair trigger temper, but definitely a temper. We've seen it in the issues that happened last year with him and Thunderbolt. We saw it during the short feud that existed between House Caliban and the Cartel. And we're seeing it now with, let's face it, the heating up of the, reheating up, shall we say, of the war between the Empire of Terror and Fate, Flashbang against the Empire. And this, I think, is another thing we can say about the Sandman. He will go after, he doesn't care who he's going after. He'll go after people twice his size, as dangerous and powerful as Lord V, and he just doesn't care. But here, it's Sandman got in the way. Thus, the second match of the night called. So for those of you who keep track of how we do things here on MNW Firing Line, we break things into segments. It's a simple organizational technique. It's how we can keep track of the board. And that segment was segment 4. So we are on segment 4, and we're about to go to segment 5, and we haven't had a match yet. And yes, now we're having, so first off, we have, I'm seeing on social media, the Grim Reaper is pointing out He's saying, listen, Aldini, I am also a good caretaker of children. I'm going to need to see some licensing on that. Also, Kathgina, perhaps I can be hired to protect those who need adults, Jerry. All of the little signature on a piece of parchment, all for one little signature on a piece of parchment. I'm several people's fey queen godmother. You know, I grew up in a household where I was taught many lessons, including, get it in writing, but also be careful what you sign. So yes, we don't need babysitters here. We don't. No one that needs regular babysitting is here right now. And with that, all right. So I mentioned we were on segment 4, and as yet we haven't had a match. Well, segment 5, ladies and gentlemen, you want to take a guess? And if you guessed Mr. Lawson coming back out to the ring to address what exactly has been going on so far that evening, you'd be right.
Enough! Enough! I've had it with this Empire and Fate nonsense! I warned you all last week. I warned you at the beginning of this week. And unlike certain companies, I'm not going to allow this shenanigans to continue. All right, Empire, Fate, since you want to reignite this war, since you want to find ways to ruin the Brass's ability to run an interference-free card, then I'll tell you what we're going to do. We are going to put an end to all of this. At Multivania, the Empire will square off against Fate 4v4, the best that both of you can put together with everything on the line. Which means it will be an elimination-style match. The losing team will be forced to disband. And whoever decides to captain that team, the losing captain will be shipped to Warzone. That is what you have done by this constant interference. Those are your consequences. And I know what some of you are thinking, it's the return of the Survivor Series match, but no, not quite. This match is bigger than that. This is a match that has never before been seen in MNW history. The only kind of a match that can keep these two teams contained. War Games!
Yeah. There was a lot of things I thought that I would never see in Multiverse Nexus Wrestling. Now, to be fair, I never thought I'd see a Buried Alive match. And we had one of those. I never thought I would see a Survivor Series match. We had one of those. But of all of the things I just never thought we would go to, War Games. This is when you know people have gone too far. And that the brass... All right, this is where I'm going to remind everyone. This is MNW. We are an adult-rated show. And I say that so I can point out that the brass and Lawson are out of fucks to give. And thus we get War Games. And if you've never seen War... You know what? If you've never seen a War Games match proper, I would look it up. It's unique and brutal. And I fully expect at least one person to go to the hospital. And can we take a moment? Now, I have been working with Flashbang since the beginning. When it was formed, Rabbit brought me over as a road agent to help the young kids. And then, of course, once Firing Line was created, I was moved over. So, but one way or another, I've been working with or following Firing Line, or Flashbang, from the beginning. And it used to be that one of the main goals of any of the wrestlers on the Flashbang roster was to graduate. It was considered an honor to be called up to Warzone. It was considered an absolute goal to move on over because it was considered the main show. And in the 2 years since Friday Night Flashbang began, there has definitely been a shift in that perception. No longer is Warzone the main show, it's just the other show. And no longer is it considered an honor to be called up. Now, people, when did it change? I guess is what I'm really asking everyone. At what point did it shift that getting shipped to Warzone was a punishment? And that's it. Although I leave it to, of all people, Vinsmoke Sanji to look for a silver lining in this cloud, where he says, if Earl King is to lose that match, then there's a strong possibility we could have a reunion of Nakama Worldwide. I would pay good money. And I work for the company, but I would pay good money to see how that, because correct me if I'm somebody, I don't have Pete. He usually checks on this stuff for me, and I'll have to wait to see if Phyllis in the truck can give me information. But everyone, check me on this. Isn't it technically true that Trashman Jones never processed the paperwork to expel Earl King West from Nakama Worldwide? Thus, isn't Earl King West still technically a member of Nakama Worldwide? And the other thing, while I leave you to ponder that, the last thing is, of course, the other stipulation of the War Games match. Not only will whoever captains the losing team be shipped to Warzone, but the losing team will have to disband. This means either the Empire of Terror or Fate will have to disband. Now, I have thoughts on scenarios on those, but I'm not going to get into that for now. I'm going to save those thoughts for Multivania. But yeah, a lot writing on this War Games match. And again, we have Grim Reaper on social media. Well, War Games it is. Guess I have to take the souls of either the Fate, Empire of Fate to the Nirvana that night. And I have the Heavyweight Championship that night. I do not look forward towards this. So that's the other interesting. Actually, the Grim Reaper makes up an interesting point. Many of the heavy hitters for both teams are already booked in matches and thus unavailable for War Games. The Grim Reaper, the strategist of the Empire of Terror, can't be in the War Games match because he's in the main event for the World Heavyweight Championship. Likewise, Jagger, Blackthorn, and Graven, two of the leaders of Fate, cannot be in that match because they are in the same match with the Grim Reaper. The Creation, who House Caliban has always been members of Fate, can't be in that. He has a match against the Beast Highrolled, another member of the Empire, who thus cannot be in that match. So this becomes the question of, you have to look at, well, who's left and who's going to captain. Well, that's many thoughts. But we've gone on this long enough. And I have to point out, as we move into segment 6, ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you segment 6 of Friday Night Flashbang from last week, the first match of the evening. And that match is one that was set up earlier, where Suicide Gemini faces off against the Slam-Phibian of AAA. So you have the suicidal, homicidal one, the member of Hell's Kitchen, versus the first ever female competitor in MNW history, and a charter member of Animals Against Apex. And it seems I'm still working on. I still haven't gotten the through line, everyone. I haven't figured out 100% what Suicide Gemini is up to. What's leading to this? We know there's something going on between him and Manatee, who, let's point out, we haven't seen in weeks. We know he's become obsessed with some of the animalistic wrestlers, particularly of AAA. A particular fascination with Sheepy, arguably the powerhouse of AAA. And with Sheepy being off limits this week, he turned his attention to the Froggy Mom, Slamphibian. And that's the question. And Grim Reaper, I haven't seen no, I don't know if it did. I'm not sure what message you're talking about. Also on social media from Wolfstalker. So explain to me this, Jerry. Can the War Games be captained by someone who isn't the head of a faction? It's not the head of the faction captaining. Will the captain go to Warzone, or will the head of the faction? And apologies for continuing the subject. Inquiring minds want to know. I'll tell you what, after this match, we'll revisit that question. And no, Grim Reaper, I don't think I got your message. If you got the points for it, do a highlight on it, and I'll try and catch it. Meanwhile, the one and only, the Suicide Gemini, continuing his efforts. And here's the thing, he had a lot of comments about Frog Legs, which I get it. He's a short order cook. Slamphibian's a frog. Although I would expect Manatee to know. The War Games one, yeah, I actually read that one out loud, Grim Reaper. I read it on the stream, so it got through. That's what actually got me thinking about the members of both teams that are unavailable. Back to this match, you have the Slamfibian living up to her name and slamming Suicide Gemini. And, and I'm getting told Gemini is a butcher. Here's the thing, though. Gemini now, he's been trying hard, and you gotta love, he's definitely somebody who puts forth an effort. He did what he did, but this is 2 weeks in a row where Suicide Gemini has not been able to best a member of AAA. I know he's looking for something. I don't know what 100%. And that may be just a problem that Suicide Gemini has always been a man living in his own world. And that is, I'm sure it's an interesting place. I'm not sure it's a place I necessarily want to visit. I did my time in the club scene in Seattle back in the day, but we'll just leave it at that. Be interesting to see where Gemini comes to tomorrow night. Yeah, we'll just leave it with that. Now, Wolfstalker asked a very interesting question earlier, and that was about the captaining of the teams. This is what, from what I've been able to follow up and understand, is how it stands. It is not, so the heads of the faction, so clearly Earl King West is the head of the Empire of Terror, with, I would say, the second in command, of course, being the Grim Reaper. Now, we know, as we said earlier, Grim Reaper is unavailable because he is going after the World Heavyweight Championship in the main event. Now, Earl King West is available to captain the team, certainly, but the other, going again to leadership, the Fate has always been more of a cooperative group. It has had multiple leaders. Specifically, the three leaders I know of, or people who have been considered leaders of the faction, are Jagger Blackthorn, Henry Colt, and Vincent Caliban. Now, Dr. Caliban is not a wrestler. He is a manager. So he would not be eligible to captain a team. Jagger is in the heavyweight championship match, And that leaves Henry Colt, who we have not seen in a ring since his injury. We do not know if he is cleared to wrestle yet. That's the leaders of the faction. But here is the other factor. What Lawson said and what has been followed up since then. It is up to the Empire and Fate to determine who their teams are and who is the captain of each team. It will be specifically the person who is captaining the War Games team who will be up for banishment to Warzone. This means that all of the members of Fate and the Empire who are in other matches are not up for banishment. Now, who are the highest ranking members of Fate? I would argue people who potentially could be captains. Johan Mjoln, if he's able to wrestle, Henry Colt. You have Artemis still available. You potentially have the Time Bandits. They are members of Fate. All of House Caliban are members of Fate. It is one of the founders of the faction. Arguably, another Fate adjacent person would have been AAA members, but that's always been a loose confederation or a loose alignment, and I don't think you could fairly consider them actual members. I do believe Dungeons and Destiny were technically members of Fate as well. So, and then finally, another person who was a member of Fate who did recently make his return to in-ring action, the Dragonborn Lee. Now, of all of those names I mentioned, I could see Colt, Mjoln, or Lee step up as the leaders of the Wargame team. With the Empire, and again, this is purely speculation. My understanding is that both teams will announce their Wargame rosters tomorrow night at the go-home show for Multivania. With the Empire, you have, of course, the Earl King himself, Lord V, the Cleaver, Simon the Psycho, Dark Lord Popo, and depending on how you consider it, and most people consider it to be the case, Aurelian Starhand. Now, here's the question with the captaining. I could see Earl King pushing the captaincy off to somebody else to protect himself from banishment. Flip side, I can't see his ego handling somebody else being in charge and getting the glory if they win. Those are just my thoughts. So hopefully that answers the current questions of who is going to be the potentials in that match. With that said, let's go ahead and move on with the show. Again, keep the questions flowing, folks. That's fine. That's what we're here for here on Firing Line. And, if need be, we can collect these. And I do know the brass does review this program. And I'm sure that should it come up, they will take that, and Lawson may give answers tomorrow night. Or he might do what he did last week and just show up towards the end of the show and explain details. You never know. With that, though, it is time to move on. And now that we had that away, it's time for one of the highlights of any episode of Friday Night Flashbang. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the showcase match.
4 pounds.
This week featuring Alexis Edmonton, Seth Jackson,
Representing APS,
The Creation, Lasume01, The Robot, Tiki, The Troll, somebody I forgot who could be on Fate's team, and then Jack the Questionable coming to the ring wearing an El Pollo mask. And then finally, DeLuna 13. And I hear there are people wanting to reach out to Zach the Weaver and beg him to stop selling masks to Jack the Questionable. Because, come on, folks. It's getting ridiculous. It's like he's in a rut. All he can think of to do is mock luchadors. Come on, Jack. We expect better from you. Actually, no, we don't. You're not a person we would ever expect better of. Meanwhile, as this match rolls on, although, you know what? It's one thing to give Jack the Questionable a bad time, but in a surprise moment, he started out the match going after the Creation. And surprisingly, getting the pin in the Creation's the first elimination. It's been noted the Creation, for some reason, seems to lose his focus in multi-man matches. Dr. Caliban should get on that. Maybe see what's happening with that. In the meantime, while Jackie Q got that first elimination, you have Lasume01, the robot, trying to get a pin on Alexis Edmonton. Not getting it, but after a moonsault, Jack the Questionable earns the match's second elimination, taking out Seth Jackson. So really, you have Jack the Questionable taking out two people who were favored to get into at least the last four.
Alexis Edmonton has been eliminated.
And then Alexis Edmonton also gets eliminated very quickly. And then you have Tiki getting a arm lock onto Jack the Questionable. In the meantime, while Jack is breaking out, Ravolos having a pin on DeLuna 13. And with that, in less than a minute, 3 competitors taken out of the showcase, leaving only 4. Many of them are having at least one showcase win. Lasume having 3. Lasume in that rare 3-win club. Rarefied air. Tiki the Troll, of course, stalking Jack the Questionable because, well, I think as everyone can agree, Jack's an asshole. And with that, Tiki the Troll getting the pinfall on the Merc and leaving it to 3. Then, of course, Lasume doing a helicopter spin or around the merry-go-round. I never quite... Different names, different regions for that move. But either way, getting a pinfall on Tiki. And then it's, well, ladies and gentlemen, Monkey versus Robot, which is a great song, but an even better wrestling match. And no, I'm not going to play it. I could get DMCA'd. Look it up sometime. But there you have it. Finally, Lasume, Ravolos. Only one can win. Ravolos, of course, having one showcase win on his record already. And then Lasume getting the 1, 2, 3. And Lasume becomes the second wrestler on the Flashbang roster to win 4 showcase matches. Lasume now ties the record of the king of the showcases, Big Rock. Which leads to the question, where are we going from there? Because Big Rock's record has stood forever. Now, not beaten, but he's been tied. Does that make them co-kings? Meanwhile, on social media, getting a message from Kathleen Jerry, is it too much to hope that Lawson could ship Jack over to Warzone over a losing captain? He's a mercenary. He's not eligible. He's not a true member of either faction. He's unfortunately not eligible. We would have to find another way to ship him. Also, again, Wolfstalker. Earl King will find a way to weasel out of being captain. There's no doubt in my mind about that. And then finally, we have we have one of the Minotaurs coming out and saying, I feel like the Creation was just bored. Like he took a look at the matchup and decided, nope, don't care, I'm a go. You know what arguably could be? You've got a big match at Multivania for the Creation. He is got to face the Beast Hyrule, his chance for some retribution to the ordeal he faced the previous year at the hands of the Empire. He may have just decided, you know what, it's not worth it, expending the energy and potentially hurting myself. Sure. But it does seem he just has a little problem with multi-man matches. That's all I'm saying. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's one of those times on the show that we love. It is time for the Flashbang audio promo of the week. Now, usually we try and put the promo where it matches up in the card, but tonight's promo, it kind of stood on its own. It didn't necessarily match up to anything, but I think everyone agreed. As we were preparing for the show, there was a lot of messages to the Firing Line audience saying, this has to be the promo of the week. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I give to you Brawl Kaiser.
I got another title match, but it was because it's Artemis attacks Simon, so thank you, Artemis? I really shouldn't appreciate it because you did endanger a person's shins, the most endangerable part of the leg, and you definitely didn't do it to help me, but thanks anyway, I guess? Now that, Citric King, you may be a master at breaking doors, but I'm not a door. I'm much more like a rocking chair because I move around a lot and I look nice. And you'll find it's a lot harder to break a rocking chair than it is to break a door. As for you, Hutch, you're like a refrigerator because you're gray and cold and metallic. So when it comes to a battle between an orange, a rocking chair, and a refrigerator, who do you think wins? I'll tell you who, the rocking chair, because it fell on the orange and the fridge wasn't even plugged in. So I'm going to get that title, Citric, and while you may not think I'm fit to hold the interdimensional title, well, you employed Jack the Questionable, and I know I won't do anything that bad, so I think I can handle it. Anyway, see you at Multivania. Look both ways before crossing the street. Bye!
That boy is so wholesome. So wholesome. Well, and moving on with the night, it's time for our next matchup. And this one, well, this faced Nausea, the Beast Mom, coming to the ring to face Blight Howlis of Apex. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, everyone said it when the match went on. It's cats versus dogs. I mean, if you consider Blight a dog, I mean, he's a wolf, but... yeah, I'm not going to, you know what, I'm not going to overthink it. It's Blight Howlis, it's Nausea. And, of course, part of this has been, we know there's been issues between Nausea and Apex's queen, Mizuki Napier. And one of the people who, in Apex, who's absolutely been the most loyal to Mizuki is Blight Howlis. So it stands to reason that if somebody is going to want to stand up and be there to represent on her behalf, it would be Blight. And thus we get this match. And the thing is, Blight, everyone keeps talking about the poison and how he's not fighting at his best. Honestly, did that poison... I'm asking this as a serious question. Did this poison do anything to make him lose some fur? I haven't seen him have one whit of degradation in his performance. All I've seen is him look a little less like he's going to clog up the shower drains.
She is an honorable fighter, if nothing else.
I mean, now I understand as a werewolf that might be an emotional problem. I mean, I'm sure he was very proud of his fur. And absolutely wants to be in his full impressive form again. But I'm just saying I don't want to hear anyone say anything about the poison as an excuse for any of his performance. He as brutal as I've ever seen him. And I remember his match on the first night of Flashbang. So on the other hand, Nausea, who, let's remember, if you ever followed in the indies, RIW, she was an absolute star over there. And she shows here part of how she got it, because it's not a lot of people that can, knock Blight Hallis on his ass. And we've got from Sage from our great Omni Geek. Technically, dogs are a subspecies of wolf. Though speaking of which, I call it more a match of the lion versus the wolf king. I mean, sure. It could be a very Jungle Book quite moment. All we know in the end, you know what? We're going to go with this. Naja won the match. So she tops out the night. And as we know, it's pretty sure, I haven't heard conclusively, but I have strong suspicion we are going to see her and Mizuki at Multivania. Also, we have from Wolfstalker, you have no idea. Trying to get him to just sit still and listen to doctor's orders. Trying to get this cured has been an absolute nightmare. Look, I understand, Wolfstalker, and I know as a family member, it must be really trying to have to deal with this. And I'm not trying to downplay the effects this might be having on him of the poison. I'm simply saying from a athletic and physical ability, I haven't noticed any degrading in his performance. Now, whether that's through training, whether that's through just sheer force of will, I don't know. I'm just saying he seems to be the same old Blight Hallis in the ring regardless. Maybe he wasn't, I don't know. All I'm saying is it seems to be more of a skin condition than anything else. But I don't know. I haven't, it's not like Blight shares these things with me. I guess we'll have to wait and see. That might be a future interview. Who knows? With that, all right. So I hear we have a phone call. We have a lot to go through tonight, so I'm just going to warn everyone right now. Any call-ins tonight, we're going to be keeping very brief. And I'm going to be very ready on the mute button if people start rambling. With that, I'm told by Phyllis that on the phone we have Simon the Psycho.
Yes, hello there.
All right, Simon, we don't have a lot of time, so we're going to have to ask you to get to the point.
Well, we just wanted to extend our gratitude to Brawl Kaiser, we believe his name is. Despite the fact that we were cheated once again by the Omni Slayers, he showed very nice honor in respecting those beaten.
That's great. Is there anything else, Simon?
Well, nothing we can say right now, of course. Let's just say, look forward to Multivania. Something is coming.
I see. Thank you, Simon. Vague as always. Have a good night. One of these days, he's going to get to a point. It'll probably hurt him. All right. With that, let's move on with the evening and to our next match, which features the rest of AAA, Sheepy, Demolition Fox, and Otoro Azul versus Dungeons and Destiny, Lord Bareback, Drathulu, and Rapture New Road. This is quite the thing. We have not seen this lineup of Dungeons and Destiny in a long while, in part because even though he is a mentor to them, Rapture New Road is a Warzone wrestler. But for apparently one night only, we get Rapture New Road with his proteges. Makes you wonder where their mom, Moira Draco, is. With that, we've got, and we're hearing from Naja real quick, by the way. Blight told me himself that once I go after his queen, he wanted to be the first one I'd face. If he wishes to say he wasn't at his peak on this, then he best meet me for a one-on-one sometime outside of the ring. I have a knack for getting the true beast out of others. All right, fair enough. Also, we have, again, Wolfstalker. You have to keep in mind that he didn't see Blight for months after the poisoning happened. It's possible the poison had a bit of time to work itself out of his system, which might have subsided the effects of it. That's actually very fair. That's fair. It could be. I mean, we don't know. I'm not an expert on Omnislayer poisons. Back to the match at hand, we have, as we see, Lord Bareback swinging Sheepy around. Let's remember, I mean, Sheepy is, from what I understand, a kind of tulpa. He is effectively a child's imaginary friend whom that child believed in so much that he became real. And then Lord Bareback, of course, everyone knows, is in fact a polymorphed dragon. This, so they are, and then of course throw in the tiefling, the changeling, the fox creature, and then of course the very beefy luchador. You've got a match. And there you have it, the running of the bulls from Otoro Azul. And just back and forth. You have both of these teams so evenly matched. Makes you wonder how this is going, because I know part of what's happening here is one thing we didn't mention at the top of this match. Notice this is a trios match. Somebody has to face Doom at Multivania. And that's what that team going to Multivania to face Doom, it's going to be AAA. Although I would say that was a squeaker. That one could have gone either direction. And thus AAA is going to Multivania to face Doom. So, good news. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. They earned a shot. I'm getting a note from the production office. AAA won the opportunity to face Fabulous tomorrow night. And the winner of that match will go to Multivania to face Doom. So we will see. Boy, that's a match I want to see. AAA versus Fabulous. That looks like it'll be fun. All right. With that said, looking at this, we are now... So we were discussing... There's been a lot going on. Let's just say that. And of course, throughout the night, we've been hearing Kath Gina reach out to us on social media, as she often does, with much of her commentary on the state of affairs on Flashbang. And of course, the concern so many people have about the dark path she has found herself on since the revelations of what happened with Jagger Blackthorn and her family members. With the interesting fact that a lot of her ire has been focused on TK of Spectre Sonata, to the point of, well, things started happening. Supernatural things started happening. And then this match happened. And this match, of course, the Fade Queen, Kath Gina, coming down. But the person she faced... Now, if you're not recognizing this person, and of course the card didn't get... This is the Punk Master Ghost, assuming a new form. It's as if Kath Gina's actions against TK have brought forth a spirit of vengeance within the Punk Master Ghost. And we know, of course, the first time we saw PM, he came to the ring completely invisible. This night, I'm not a supernatural expert. I have to turn to people like AAA for information. So I don't know if this is a new form, if he's just wearing leathers and he made his skin invisible, but we could still see his skeleton. I don't know if he has been playing a lot of Sea of Thieves lately, or what exactly is going on. But definitely a more brutal form of PM Ghost coming to the ring to take on Kath Gina as retribution for what she has done in the past to his friend TK. And makes you wonder, is this what he's going to be like from now on? is this a permanent change? Or is this going to be something we see every once in a while, as we do sometimes with Doom? I mean, clearly things we need to ask. I would personally put in a request to APS to maybe look into it. Although, from what I understand, APS only cares if you violate the rules of use of magic in a match, which, reviewing this one, I didn't see anything. It looks like it was very straightforward. But in the end, you have PM going in the ring, hoping for some retribution against Kathjina after everything. But he, he's a ghost, so he has a very never say die attitude. Or it's an always say. I don't know. There was some quote once, that which is ever dying is ever living. I don't know. That was a fortune cookie, I think. Either way, as hard as he fought, the one thing he could not stand up against is this newfound brutality from the Lady Fae. And thus does Kathjina get another win in her quest to eventually force the Brass to give her that match she wants against Jagger Blackthorn. A match that right now we know she's going to have to wait till after Multivania to get, unless something really strange happens between now and then. Which, considering tomorrow night is the go-home show, that just leaves one to wonder. Now, the next matchup, this was mentioned earlier in the evening by Mr. Lawson. The promo he made before he got angry at everyone for messing up the first two matches. Remember way back when Mr. Lawson was talking with the Crimson Phoenix and told the Phoenix that if they and Revolos are going to get their match at Multivania, somebody for AAA, or somebody for Apex has to qualify on their behalf. Well, everyone, we're there. And, well, let's see if everyone was right in their guesses. Of course, the team to qualify against, Vaporwave. And to no one's surprise, it's the Minotaur brothers. It's Labras and Satiris. And who else are you going to pick? If you're the Crimson Phoenix, you want to go to Multivania, somebody has to qualify on your behalf. Maybe send out the team, including the person who's never lost a single match in their career. Not by pinfall, not by submission, not by their partner in a tag match, ate a pin. Then we talk about how, Nero Napier is undefeated. Nero Napier has never been pinned or submitted. He has been on the losing side of matches. Satiris Basilicus has never lost a match. I have to assume Lawson had to know that in the back of his head when he was setting up this match. Now, it could be any given Friday. We always say that. Scott E. Stevens, when he's around, when he doesn't have matches in upstate New York, says that. We've heard that from Eric Jenerickson many times. Everyone, any given night. But if you're wanting to weigh the odds, you send in the Minotaurs. And you especially send in the Satiris. And I don't care how hot you are if you're Apollo Hades. You have to see these two coming down the ring and think, well, it was a good night until now.
Why do you hate yourself?
It may go back to that theory that Wolfstalker had earlier in the evening about the creation in the showcase match. Maybe if you're Apollo, you're like, oh, you know what? Let's just not try too hard. Let's try to get out of this unhurt. But no, if you look at this match, that is not what Apollo Hades is doing. That is not what Aqualung is doing. They are putting their all. If you're Apollo Hades, you want to have that first ever victory over Satiris. And that leads to things. And when I say things, I mean pain. I mean a lot of pain. And then there's give Aqualung credit. He tried. I think he was trying for a Hurricanrana. I think that's what was going on. But that's a lot of Minotaur. That's a lot of beef. And in the end, there's the 3 count. And you give Apollo Hades credit. He tried to get in there in time. But in the end, that's all she wrote. And thus, Labrys and Satyrus win the match. And that means the Crimson Phoenix and Revolos are going to Multivania. And now, okay, with that, so earlier in the evening, we, what started this whole, the whole reason we are now staring down the barrel of war games was the back and forth of members of the Empire and members of Fate interfering with each other's matches. So the next match is maybe setting the scales right just a little bit, in that you have the Time Bandits. Remember, Sandman attacked Lord V, so you have the Time Bandits facing the Abyssal Void. A chance for these two to get their hands on each other in a proper setting with their tag partners. And it's, Lord V is, as we've stated, he is a longtime veteran of Flashbang. When he came in, he originally feuded with the Creation. He has been a longtime member of the Empire, both as a singles competitor and very successfully as a member of the Abyssal Void. And let's not forget, Lord V is the man that last year at Multivania scored the final pinfall that led to the disbanding of the Republic. He is the man that put the Republic in its grave. Meanwhile, Sandman and Thunderbolt, as the Time Bandits, one of the most successful and well-respected tag teams on the roster. And here you have the Sandman just staring daggers at the Cleaver, this man who, I know a lot of people have been recently wondering if he's going to start singing Psychosocial. But the truth is, he is one of the most terrifying members of the roster. And although, give credit to Lord V, he, every time the Cleaver found himself in a pinfall predicament, Lord V was there. And this match, it makes you wonder. I mean, as far as we know, all that was going on here was these two teams. It was all about settling what happened earlier in the evening. But from our discussion earlier, remember, both of these teams could face each other as part of the War Games teams at Multivania. They, members of Fate, members of the Empire. None of them have prior engagements Multivania night. It could absolutely be them. And I don't think any of the 4 would be the team captains. But when you got somebody as outspoken as the Sandman or as mysterious as Lord V, I wouldn't count it out. On the other hand, the other thing you don't count out, the Thunderbolt, because he, when he hits those moments, no one's better. And thus does the team of the Time Bandits come out of this matchup with the victory. And with that, we have one match left on the Flashbang card to go over. That match is for the last of the 8 spots at the 8-man World Title Showcase match at Multivania. Thus far, 7 people have qualified to take on, 6 people have thus far qualified, since one of the slots does go to World Heavyweight Champion Nero Napier. And so far, the other people that are going to face him, the Grim Reaper, Scott E. Stevens, El Pollo de la Muerte, I had a brain fog for a minute, Jaguar Blackthorn, Nitzig Gunk Gobbler, and now there is one less slot left. And that slot... Oh, and I almost forgot. Graven, the Chocolate Zombie. And that last spot, Mr. Rabbit, the former general manager, co-commentator of Friday Night Flashbang, called out that he wanted a shot. And Mr. Lawson said, all right, you get a chance to earn your spot against this man, Jack Andrews, in his return to in-ring action after his various stalkings and interferences and attacks on Zephyr Tail. And Jack decided, you know what, no, I'm good. Just forfeited his match, and the brass went, no, Rabbit, you have to qualify. So in a last-minute replacement, sent out Lionel Matrix, the newcomer, the newest member of the roster, to face Mr. Rabbit for that coveted final slot at Multivania. Also, let's point out a new look for Mr. Rabbit. I have to say, this is the first time I've seen him without that mask on, or without those rabbit ears. And I will say the first thing that surprised me, I'm pretty sure I think he shaved his head for this match. I'm pretty sure he had hair originally. But I think he decided to go as aerodynamic as possible for this matchup, which he thought would be against Jack Andrews, but instead he has to face off against Lionel Matrix. But Lionel is a rookie, and Mr. Rabbit is one of the longtime competitors. And there was a reason why the brass initially chose him to be the general manager of Friday Night Flashbang. A skilled competitor, and as jovial a person as he is, as much fun as he is on the mic, you get his ire up, and there is not a wrestler more brutal than Hey Mr. Rabbit. All that energy he usually puts into his voice, he can channel into his body. And of course, well, and we have Naja saying, hope he didn't lose his hair from all that cosmic radiation he got while exploring the cosmos. I hadn't considered that there, Naja. Maybe. Possible. But, and then, of course, Lionel, for somebody who claims to be a man of a god, he certainly will take any opportunity. I still haven't worked out what's going on with his Lady Nodia. I mean, there's been pamphlets around the arena. There's things going on. We know that Henry Colt seems particularly taken with this whole notion, but I just don't know. But once Mr. Rabbit gets that hell right on you, that arm bar, that's all she wrote, and thus does our suspended general manager, Hey Mr. Rabbit, earn the slot. He will be the 8th man to face off, to go after the belt of his good friend, Nero Napier, at Multivania. So we now have the card for Multivania has been settled. And now we just need to find out who will be the other people, the other contenders. I would say, ladies and gentlemen, tune in tomorrow night for the go-home show of Friday Night Flashbang to see who is going to be making that final cut and getting on to Multivania, the biggest show of the year. So we have what we're getting. Remember, we have the final determination of who's going to go after the trios, and one more tag team that will need to qualify for the fatal four-way. But before we move on from that, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Friday Night Flashbang Moment of the Week. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Firing Line tonight is brought to you by Perfect Snap Photography. When you want the most detailed and violent-looking pictures of battlegrounds, look for Perfect Snap Photography. We do bar fights, wars, underground wrestling, and weddings.
My wedding dress, you fat harlot!
Remember, Perfect Snap Photography. It'll be bloody perfect in a snap.
No! And introducing her opponent, weighing in at 252 pounds, representing Spectre Sonata, the Punk Master goes! On that, wait, what?
He's
reconstituted! Well, he's on a bike! The Punk Master goes broke out of the hospital, and we've been hearing flashes throughout the weeks, and he's back!
Dude, you're going to the hospital? I know that.
I mean, apparently.
Oh, I'm excited.
PM Ghost has a motorcycle, and he's pissed!
Oh, he's gone corporeal.
Yes, he has! You never go completely corporeal as a ghost!
And there we have it. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the Flashbang Moment of the Week. And now, ladies and gentlemen, actually, we're going to step out of character for a minute. We're going above game, so this is out of character. Jerry Aldini is stepping aside for good old Caliban. Because I have with me my good friend Joe Mojo.
Hello.
And so reason we're stepping out of character for a moment is Joe has an announcement he wants to make, and I'm going to give him the microphone and let him go.
All right. This is not easy for me to say because just me talking about myself in general is fucking hard for me. But going forward, because of time constraints and just my overall exhaustion as of late, for the foreseeable future, I will no longer be hosting or producing the Callout, or at this current moment cutting promos as Johan or helping people with promos, because looking into my schedule, I just don't have time anymore, because I'm trying to set aside time for my family, especially since my wife Celeste has, like, she's working a day job now, so that means her evenings are free. And we had a month of me going back into my old habits of just being, at my computer. I was distancing myself. So that's kind of the biggest reason. The other reason is my anxiety has been driving me up a fucking wall as of late. And just taking a look back, I realized how privileged that I was in and out of character, not only for Flashbang, but just like just MNW in general, like the community in general, like even branching out for like other people's friends groups. And I just looked at it and went well, why is it? At one point I was like, well, at one point I thought, well, this just isn't enough. And I looked at that and was like, that's kind of toxic, actually. So I am like promo wise, for both Johan and Tiguri, because Celeste has. If I don't have time, Celeste definitely doesn't have time, especially because, well, we're moving this weekend, and because not because we want to, but either way, when it comes to promos with like Johan and Tiguri, that's going to be all Bosco. I'm just letting him take the reins on that one because I shouldn't be involved at this current moment. And yeah, so I'm just going to be hanging out in the audience from now on. I'm not going to be touching or doing anything. I might make an odd appearance here and there on if somebody needs like an interviewer, but please produce that your own promo. I will lend a voice for like a brief 5 seconds or like an introduction piece if you need it, but because I still want to help. I still want to help you guys out, but like I don't know. I'm just rambling at this point. I do apologize, Caliban.
That's okay. So one thing that Joe and I talked about when he told me that this was coming up is that he's okay if somebody else wants to actually pick up the call out.
Yes.
He'll get you the assets, the song and whatnot. And so if somebody wants to do that, that's great. Or if somebody wants to do something else, that's fine. Obviously, we'll have some space on the show. It's good for us to have a transition piece between Flashbang and Warzone. If somebody wants to do something else in the stead and get something put in, we can talk about it. So there's some space in the show. But obviously, Joe's doing the smart thing, which is recognizing he needs to take some time off. And we didn't want to just cold drop him from the show and have everyone going, what the hell's going on?
No, and but yeah, if anybody wants to pick it up, please let Caliban, storytellers know. Probably more or less Caliban because Tim's taking his own break. And no, Travis, fuck that right the fuck off. Seriously,
I don't know. I put that on every once in a while.
Once to fuck with me. Anyway, but yeah, so
I asked him to do that.
I know.
Anyway, and hey, somebody else is joining us to talk to you.
I have. I mean, I can't just let this happen.
All right.
Hey, Joe.
Yes.
So I just want to say, no joking aside, and no bit, and no strings attached. I've said it from day one, and despite how badly I have sometimes treated Johan, you have been the epitome of what I would want in a community member.
I have sent you anxiety-driven messages.
I'm aware. I'm aware.
No one should be bothering you with.
And
putting that much stress onto you. That is not what a community member should be doing. They should be enjoying the show as it's presented, like I should have been doing. But
here's the difference,
selfish.
Joe. Let me finish. I'm gonna let you finish, but let me finish. All you did was ask for communication, which is something that has been lacking a lot. And what I'm specifically talking about is your activity in the community, whether it was cutting a promo or writing a promo or helping someone else with a promo or just being in the chat every single week and dedicating 2 to 3 to 4 hours of your day just to watch the show and then to show up on Firing Line and to dedicate that time. I'm actually really glad that you're taking a step back. My biggest fear is that you're going to be like, Johan has to retire. I'm just glad that you're still involved in the show and you deserve every opportunity to spend time with your wife and kid because real life always comes first. And I will take 25% of what you used to give because that is still what I would look for in a community member at the bare minimum and then some. So thank you for everything that you've done. Thank you for everything that you are going to do. And thank you for still being here because Flashbang wouldn't be the same without you or Johan.
Honestly, I don't... Going back when you said you treated him badly, I never really... looking back, it wasn't really treating him badly. You're just trying to. You have like over 100 people to showcase. Over 100 people, like
200 now for the foreseeable future.
200 for the foreseeable future on both shows, like, and multiple 8-people matches for the biggest show that we can produce. Like, it's just you're already busy as hell, and I hate that I added that much more stress to you.
I'm glad that you did, because again, you're somebody, and like with anybody, I want everybody to have fun. You are not the first person to come to me with concerns. You won't be the last person to come to me with concerns. And those are all things that I want to address, because at the end of the day, we're all here to have fun. And you have always made this fun for everybody, because you've showcased their characters, you've showcased your characters. And again, your time is the most valuable asset that you have, and you've dedicated a lot of it to MNW. And even 25% of your time going forward is invaluable to me. So again, this is about you, and thank you for everything that you've done and will continue to do in whatever way you see fit going forward.
Yeah.
I just wanted to come on and say that to you personally.
Well, and I do thank you, and honestly, I do appreciate everything that you have done. I really do. Like, no bullshit, no.
And that's why I'm glad that you're not leaving, because I love the Troll Train, and I want you guys. You and Tiki are great. Even if you're not involved in the promos, I love what you guys have done and created.
Yeah, but see, and that's the main reason why I don't want Johan or Tigiri pulled, because that would be unfair to Tiki. That would be like, oh, hi,
Look,
thanks for coming back. By the way, your tag partner and his wife are going.
Look, if you're showing up to the shows every week, I want you there.
Yeah. I'll make it when I can.
Yeah. And even if you're just like, I'm going to pop in and check out a VOD in the morning when you wake up, because that's when your wife's at work and that's when you can see it. If you watch Firing Line in the morning, there are plenty of VOD watchers. There are plenty of people in the UK who can't watch the show live or wherever. Again, as long as you show interest in the show, I'm going to show interest in Johan, because people love him.
Yeah, the VOD's probably where I'm going to be for Multivania, because, Bosco, you're going to hate this. We're going to Gary.
Gary, Indiana? Why would I hate that? My condolences, dude. Who's ever said they're going on vacation to Gary?
We're not going on vacation. We're just visiting her family.
Oh, boy. Good luck. Good luck. Yeah, no, watch the VOD. Good luck.
But yeah, I'm going to hop off here so we can continue the show and not mope and fucking have people.
To be fair, I needed something.
Even Thunder Baron knows.
So to be fair, because one of the things I've always appreciated about the Callout is it creates a good transition. It gives me a chance to also get up and stretch my legs. So until we figure out if something's going to replace it, one of the advantages I have is there's a long you've been doing this basically since we started Firing Line. So I'm just going to kind of do a best of the Callout for a little bit until we figure out what we're going to do in its place.
Oh, you humble me. You really do.
It gives me something to do. And I was literally going through it today going, so who do I want? I was going back through our history, because thank goodness I have a history of this stuff. It's like, who do I want? Who would be fun to play? And so I went back thinking, we're almost at Multivania. So what did we have around this time last year? And so I've picked a Callout that we're going to play from last year. And I decided I'm going to play one from a character who's around, but we haven't seen a lot of. But he is in the chat tonight. I've seen him commenting while we've been talking with you, Joe.
Uh-oh.
So, ladies and gentlemen, for the next few minutes, enjoy a retro Callout where Joe Mojo interviews Henry Colt.
Hey.
Thank you, Caliban storytellers. Welcome to the Callout. My name is Joe. My guest tonight can not only wrangle some cattle, but he can lasso up his enemies as well. He is the cult classic, Henry Colt.
I'm just one man, but I'm the one man band.
Colt, thank you for joining me this evening.
It's my pleasure to be here, Mr. Mojo.
This is mostly for the people who haven't heard of you, even though you are a Flashbang original and a member of Fate, but could you tell the audience just a little something about yourself?
Of course. Don't like to toot my own horn too much, but I would be happy to oblige. I come from, a small town out in Texas, up old El Paso way. Announcer says San Antonio, but that's really just where I did most of my training and, some more amateur, semi-professional wrestling before I was brought into the Flashbang family, as it were. Helped my parents out on a ranch, the old Colt Ranch, cattle, longhorns mostly. But yeah, honestly, the first matches I saw were Lucha Libre matches. Out on the other side of the border. My family took some trips down there. And I was mesmerized by just how they flew through the air. And ever since then, I really wanted to just do what they did. So I started practicing, got some trainers, and I just worked hard, and here I am.
From there, how did you come across the Nexus?
That was a little bit of a strange tale. Well, not strange, but more coincidental. I knew of the DeLunas. I didn't really know them or anything, but I'd heard of them, and I'd heard that the latest of their prestigious line was wrestling in this kind of odd place. Like, he was coming back, and people were hearing his name, but it something kind of odd about it all, So I just started digging, and soon enough, representative from Flashbang out of the Nexus approached me. I didn't really think anything of it at all. And I was like, Multiverse Nexus Wrestling. I didn't really get what they were talking about until I actually showed up for that first day in that first showcase match. Well, it's been wild ever since.
Yeah, that is. Especially after you joined up with Fate. How did that begin?
Oh, well, the Empire, you see. Everyone knows them, what they're doing, and just how much trouble they're making on Flashbang at the time when Fate started. Well, there isn't much to the story. I just heard that coalition of like-minded wrestlers, or at least wrestlers with a common goal, was starting up, and I'd just started to kind of make my own name for myself at the time, and I was like, I'm not a big guy. I've had some results, but I don't have too much sway. But even as low as I was at the time, I knew I had to help. Just stop, what Prinny and his damn cronies were getting up to.
As low as you were, shortly after joining Fate, you just took apart the next showcase match that you were in. Personally, I would rank you much, much higher than you give yourself.
Well, that's awful kind of you. And I'd like to say I have what it takes to go the distance. I'm certainly training hard, and I'm fighting to do just that. But I try and keep perspective on it. Like, I've had some results, but as Rabbit and Mr. Genericson have kind of pointed out, like, I've not had as good results lately, and that's on me.
I mean, hopefully you would be considered for the gauntlet match against the Creation at Breakdown.
I mean, I've said my piece on that, but as you said, not everyone hears everything, so I'll say it here too. I have no interest in that gauntlet.
Any particular reason why?
Well, listen, the Creation is a beast. I'm not going to call him Christopher, because Earl King came right out and said it. His brain got all switched around and swapped out. As far as I'm concerned, that means it's a completely different person now. It's strong. I'm not going to stand here and say, throw me in a ring with it, I'm going to win 10 out of 10 times. But it's another wrestler. It's someone that's part of this company, just like me. And I think to throw it against an entire squad, like just one after another, it's cowardly. I mean, what's the difference between that and the Empire just sending guys to jump someone before their match? It's just engineering a loss, and I just think it's cowardly.
I mean, if you don't want to take a part of the gauntlet match, would you want to team up with Graven and go for the tag titles?
That's I don't know about that. Graven's a good guy. I like teaming with him, but I didn't come here to be a tag team talent.
I mean, to be fair, a few talents that we have weren't really tag teams when they arrive. Not to bring up a bad example, but CJR Killer and Theron Eldrazi just somehow meshed well, and now they're tag team champions on Warzone. Suicide Gemini and Mr. Manatee probably came in to be single stars, and they are fantastic together. Hell, because of their camaraderie, Gemini is going against the All-Father of all people at Breakdown in a no-holds-barred match.
I don't mean to sound ungrateful for the chances I've been given. I've appreciated working with Graven. We've had some success. You know, we've won a match or two, but you know, I've given it all I could every time, and it just, we don't really seem to gel 100% in the ring. That's, I don't know. I'm not saying it's him. If anything, I don't want to drag him down. I'm just saying it doesn't seem to be working that well, and I don't know, maybe it's just time we started finding other avenues.
And that's completely understandable. I was just mostly curious about what if you were given the opportunity, especially since we don't really have any singles titles besides the World Championship, and that is by far the most competitive scene in all of MNW.
It is, but I'm not going to shy away from that. I've went up against Kevin Blackwell twice. Each time he beat me fair and square, but I don't think that's going to be every time. I think I can win against him. I've been working out different strategies. I've been training, and I think next time we get in the ring, it's going to be a very different story. And as for Ginger Boy, you know, he's great. He's a champion right now. And honestly, I hope to see him whoop Kevin Blackwell's ass on Breakdown. But, you know, I've gone against him too, and I even managed to pull out a win that time.
Yes, you did beat the champion Ginger Boy. I'm sorry, I completely forgot about that one.
It's all right. It's all right.
So, as we are winding down here, something I like to ask my guests. Do you have anything to say to the Firing Line audience?
What do I want to tell the Firing Line audience? Keep watching us. Keep watching Fight. We're doing this. It wasn't an immediate victory. We haven't banished the Empire from all of MNW, but we've got this.
Thank you to Henry Colt for joining us this evening, and if you would like to see the Colt Classic in action, please tune in to Friday Night Flashbang on twitch.tv/Edward Bosco on Friday nights. This has been Joe, signing out.
And there we have it. And like I said, until we figure out what we're going to do, I'm just going to play some old call-outs to have that. Again, it's such a nice transition between the shows. But we're staying above game for a moment because we have Bosco here.
Yeah.
He's a very busy man trying to get ready for Multivania, which is why I did not ask him to come and sub in.
Honestly, I'm delegating much better than I did the last 2 years. So Zako and Arkov are equally taking on most of the recording burden. I'm just doing the ridiculous stuff.
And thanks to Clone Trooper Kev for gifting the 5 Tier 1 subs to the community. I appreciate you, buddy. So while we got you here, just take a couple minutes. So tomorrow night's the Go Home show for... actually, this weekend's the Go Home show for both shows.
For both shows, yeah.
So by the end of this weekend, we will know exactly what's going on with Multivania.
Correct.
Anything you want to let the community know about what's going on? Because I know we've been getting a lot of questions. I'm assuming War Games will be explained tomorrow night.
In terms of like the rules?
The rules, and are we going to know? I guess part of it because people are wanting to know who's going to be the captain, who's going to be on the card. And I know one question we had, you can settle right now. I think I gave the answer. But the person being shipped to Warzone is the captain of the team, not the leader of the faction.
The captain of the losing team leaves Flashbang.
Okay.
So, yeah, and a lot of people are like, oh, it's a punishment going to Warzone. It's like, well, not necessarily. It's more that you have to leave behind everything that you created on Flashbang as like, hey, you're putting everything on the line. Mm-hmm. Also, it puts one person in the spotlight and a lot of pressure on the other 3 guys. Also, I like to see who's going to step up. Who's going to be like, yeah, I'll be that guy. I'll do it.
Yeah, because you've left it to the teams to actually say.
I have. I left it to the teams to not only pick their members, but who's going to captain the team. And I've talked to one person in particular about their team. And so we'll see what happens. The interesting thing is some of the big heavy hitters in Fate either on injured reserve or are in the world title picture. A lot of people are speculating maybe Henry will come back, maybe he won't. We don't really know. It depends on if they pick him or not. So, yeah.
All right. And, of course, the trios and tag scenes will be figured out tomorrow night.
AAA versus Fabulous will be for the trios belts. And we will have one more tag match where the winner will be added to that fatal four-way. And the Bone Warriors will have their biggest test to date. They've won a triple threat Iron Man match, but they have never won a fatal four-way for their belts, to my knowledge. On either show, really, actually, now that I think about it. So it'll be a big, big get. And whether or not that's elimination or just straight up one fall, we'll have to see.
All right. Anything else before we wrap up and I get back into character and continue the show?
Let's see. Are there any other big matches that are going to be announced? I'm trying to think. Oh! Depending upon the results of the trios and the tag match, I may have an announcement on Warzone that will also affect Flashbang. So if you're a Warzone person, you should check out Flashbang. And if you're a Flashbang person, you should definitely check out Warzone. I'm not going to say much more than that. It's not going to affect everybody. It's a very limited number of people. But I don't want to give that away. I want you to view my show.
Sure, and if you really need to, we'll talk about it next week.
Exactly. But yeah, it all depends upon those two matches, and you'll see why on Warzone.
Okay, sounds good. All right, well, thank you very much. And
also, hi, Storyteller. He's lurking.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I know. He's taking his break. He's still modding my channel.
Yeah. The other insight I'll give you for Warzone, in case it wasn't clear, there will be a rematch of that essentially get off the schneid match with Vince Smoke, Wilson, son of Will, and Louis McDonald with the original fourth member of that match to figure out who's going to fight Fear Strikes. And Fear Strikes will be taking on Lady Boots. And if Lady Boots wins, that match becomes a triple threat.
Nice.
Assuming Semjax keeps his word.
Well, he's
supposed to be trustworthy, so we're about to find out if that's true. Also, stay tuned. There will be more matches announced for Multivania on both shows. So I highly recommend, if you have the opportunity this weekend, tune into both. Normal start time for both shows. If anything changes, check out the Discord. If you're not on the Discord, hit up a mod. We'll get you in there.
All right.
Also, Oro, just because I saw him or her, I don't know, sorry, pronouns are tough. I saw them in the chat. I have Gunnar Birch on a file now. I was able to dig him up. So if you are interested in adopting, and Gunnar was the one you were looking at, we can start working on attire and stuff like that before Multivania, and we'll see if we can get him in a match. So let me know if that's something you want to move forward with. Hit me up on the Discord in the Warzone section. I think, is there a creation for Warzone section?
No, everyone just uses...
General.
Yeah,
hit me up in general. Yep, if that's something if you want to adopt Gunnar, I will make it happen immediately. Just hit me up in the Discord.
Yeah. So you're giving him permission to @ you for this one?
Correct. You can @ me in Warzone General.
Okay.
And we'll make it happen.
Noted. Okay. Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, pal.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Okay. So with that, all right. So lots been going on tonight, guys. So give me a moment and get deep breath and get back. Get Jerry back in here and continue with the show. Real quick. I'm going to bring it, while I'm still out of character, I'm just going to bring a couple of guys in here. I just want to double check. All right, you two. Are you needing to talk about something out of character, or are you just lining up for in character when your stuff happens on the show?
In character.
Okay. So Vin Smoke will be doing in character, and I already know what you want.
I'll keep it quick.
Okay, I'll know when to bring you in. Okay, cool. And you're back. And he's gone. Okay. You need.
I'm just messing with you at this point. Don't mind me.
Fair. Oh, okay. So normal for us. Got it.
Yeah,
got it.
Basically.
All right.
Get out of your
fair.
Job.
Thank you. This is how you know when somebody from Chicago is your friend. Antagonism. Okay. With that, all right, back into character. Means if Bosco comes back in here, I'm going to call him Eric. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that, it's time to move on to Warzone. And again, as we've been talking about, the road to Multivania. And if you think it's been crazy with everything on Flashbang, Warzone has been having its own challenges. But before we get into any of that, let's start off with recently, on behalf of Mr. Lawson, there's been an experiment on Warzone of trying out the Flashbang signature match. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's a showcase match featuring Leonid Sanchez, Whitney Lee, D4C Trice, Malice, Nakano Kirishima. I will get that name right one day. The Doctor of Albinomics. And TJ the Mint Gable. And the return of the Sith Lord XR Kun. So just for those of you keeping track, there is a former world heavyweight champion in this match in the form of the Sith Lord XR Kun, a man recently, let's be honest, betrayed by the Faces of Fear and his old friend Dr. Grimm. Meanwhile, of everyone else in this match, as it goes down, the newcomer, the rookie Kirishima, gets a kick and a pin on the returning XR Kun. I guess a little ring rust still on the Sith Lord. I didn't know the Force got ring rust, but there we are. And at the same time, Whitney Lee getting a slam on Kirishima, then getting another one on the Doctor of Albinomics, and another 3 count, and now I will not have to say the full name of any wrestlers as the Doctor of Albinomics is out of there. It's a contractual obligation, folks. Nakano Kirishima. See, I love it when somebody gives me a phonetic. And then Whitney Lee's gone. It's okay, guys. I still can't say Takahatsu. And then, as we move down, we are now down to these 4. Malice getting a reset button on Trice, but not. And then Nakano getting a pin on TJ the Mint Gable. Meanwhile, Malice goes after Leonid Sanchez. And then there were 3. And at this point, the matches get interesting. Once it's a 3-man, as those of you who follow Flashbang know, once it's down to 3 guys, because it's just when you think you're getting momentum, that 3rd guy's there, and he's punching you when you're trying to get a pinfall. But be honest, we have not seen a lot of action from High Voltage member Leonid Sanchez. But there he gets a pinfall on Nakano Kirishima. And this leaves the, if I'm remembering correctly, half alien Leonid versus the main event mech Malice. And a big kick on the meme, and after another 3 count, Leonid Sanchez now stands as the 4th person to win a Warzone showcase match. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, just like we do on the for the Flashbang side of the house, we are absolutely keeping track of the wins of the Warzone showcase matches. Sorry, lost the word there for a second. And if anyone's curious, let me pull up the rankings. So far, there have been 4 showcase matches for Warzone. They have been won by Beowulf, Registered Anon, Alpha Kong, and, of course, just now, Leonid Sanchez winning the 4th one. Now, with that done, we thought we were going to be heading down to the ring for a promo, but before we got there, because he was the first one back into the backstage area, XR Kun went looking for his old colleague, Dr. Grimm. And they came to blows. This is what has happened. The Faces of Fear, at least the current iteration of them, I think it's fair to say they are no more. As XR Kun, who, while it was a meritocracy, since he held the World Heavyweight Championship, he was the leader of the Faces. And he, of course, perhaps rightly so, feels that he was betrayed by Dr. Grimm. And if, betray a Sith Lord, and you should expect vengeance. But this is basically a Sith Lord versus the supervillain of MNW. If one person is going to be able to take on XR Kun, I would put my money on Dr. Grimm. It's vicious, it's horrible, but on the other hand, it's about what you expect. And these are two, the fight just goes on and on. If there's two people where you go, well, you're going to fight forever, it's those two. And as I said, we were about to go to the ring for to hear from one of the wrestlers. But before we get that, we received some behind-the-scenes footage. Well, an audio recording, which was played last week on Warzone. And so this audio recording does count as the Warzone audio promo of the week.
St. Uncle Dunk's Children Hospital is ready for its first day of business. Has anyone seen Sir Thunder Thighs?
I'm here. I'm sorry I was running late there, but I'm here now, Mr. Unkley.
Excellent! I have some important news for you regarding the future of the hospital.
Oh, good. I'll be honest here. With you taking over the hospital, I was kind of worried at first. But I'm glad as long as we're helping the kids in the end, it doesn't really matter who's in charge, isn't it?
Glad you see it that way. Now then, Max, you're fired.
I'm sorry, what?
Yes, I've talked with my shareholders, and there's just no more room for you.
Shareholders? Unkley, you can't just run a hospital like a business!
You've clearly never been to the United States.
Well, what do you need room for that you had to cut me?
Well, the new soda machine, my golden throne in the chief of medicine's office, Mr. Butler's torture chamber in the basement.
Why do you have a torture chamber in a hospital?
And of course, the dying children's choir. We already have our first song. Let them hear it, kids!
Where did the piano come from? That's not in the budget. No children, there'll be no...
Oh, fuck shit, bitch, jam, cocksucker, pussy, asshole, cunt.
No!
Motherfucking dirty whore, shout onto my lunch.
I don't like
this. This cunt can be sucked my dick, Jesus, Harold cries. Shit, bitch, cocksucker, goddamn motherfucker, pussy, asshole, cunt.
I'm sorry, Max, but this is...
You crusty old geezer! The only reason you want a golden splatter on the wall right now is because I don't want to traumatize the kids even further! I'll be an adult and suck it up for now, but if you do anything to hurt these kids, I'm gonna put you so far in the dirt that even your life alert won't be able to pick you back up again! You better watch your ass on Warzone, ugly, because you have incurred the wrath of Maximilian Thunder Thighs!
Glad he took it so well. Now then, time to add a jacuzzi to the bedward.
And ladies and gentlemen, as a follow-up with that, on the phone right now, we have Maximilian Thunder Thighs.
Good evening, everybody. How are you?
We're doing well, Max. More importantly, how are you?
I'll tell you right now, I'm okay.
All right.
If I know you're about to ask me a couple of questions, but if it's all right with you, may I have a moment to speak with everybody?
Certainly, Max. Go ahead.
Hi, everybody out there. This is Max.
and I need to talk to somebody who is probably listening right now and may not want to talk to me, but you're damn well gonna listen at least. Mr. Lawson, since your takeover as general manager of Flashbang and discovering that you were the official brasses here, you and I have had conflicts in agreement and how things are run. And I can understand it's hard for you to run a roster like Flashbang and run a roster like Warzone. And some of the things you've done, some of the things I've done, we could go back and forth. But the reason I bring this up is this. I'm sorry. And I need your help. What do I have to do to get my hands on Uncle? Do I need to wrestle a contendership for him? Do I need to go and fight and get another title and make it a bargaining chip to get to him? Do I need to go right up to our world champion currently and give him a socking punch in the face to get my hands on him? Whatever it is, I will do it. That man took my home, my job, and my kids away from me. The fact that he was praised before he came here as the Republic, a man of upstanding prestige and class, is a joke. But I am coming. I am coming like the raging storm that I am. For when you take the kids away, you take the things I care about away, you will feel the wrath of Maximilian Thunderthighs. Please, let me fight him. That's all I had to say.
All right, well, Max, hold on a second, because I've got another line I'm being told I should tie into here. So let's this. I never get this phone right. This button, and there we go. I think I've got it connected now. Caller, are you on the phone?
Maximilian Thunderthighs. My goodness, you found yourself a spine. Did I hear you correctly that you would do anything to face Uncle?
What, do you want your boots licked? Yes, I will.
We'll be in touch, Mr. Thunderthighs. I will relay this to the brass. I'll see you Saturday.
You too, Lawson.
Well, Max, there you go. You got an answer. You absolutely got his attention. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jerry.
And Max, and I'm going to ask, and I understand there may not be a great answer, and this is going to be the hardest question I may have ever asked anyone. Max, have you heard from the kids?
No.
All right. Well then, I won't push that any further. And Max, we will see you Saturday on Warzone.
Will.
And ladies and gentlemen, Maximilian Thunderthighs, and of course the representative of the brass, Mr. Lawson. With that, let's get on with the show. And speaking of which, ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to hear from a man. Well, there's a lot going on with him and his faction. So with no further ado, may I present to you Semjax.
Greetings, Multiverse. The trustworthy Semjax has a message for all of you. As we move towards Multivania, I have been told that there will be a brand new, mega money in the bank. Truly an opportunity for someone such as me to cash in on an opportunity. So, Multiverse, allow me to be the first person to put my name into that match. Semjax will climb the mountaintop, in this case, a ladder. And I will control my destiny. I may have been screwed out of the Nexus Titan Championship, but this briefcase will bring me even greater glory. Speaking of glory, on behalf of Gorm, after his impressive win, I would like to offer up an open challenge for his Warp Gate Hardcore Championship. He will main event the show and put yet another Warzone wrestler in their place. And he will continue to do so all the way until Multivania, when he will once again defend his Warp Gate Hardcore Championship against all comers. And then I will add Chaz's brand new toy to our collection. Oh, and there is one more thing. It seems that Power Surge has had a little bit of an issue with Carnival in recent weeks, and so I would like you, Power Surge, to get an opportunity to fight him once more. But this time, you will fight more than just him. You will fight the Bloodline, myself and Carnival. So bring your championship partner and let us see which one of us is the more dominant faction, shall we?
And there you have it. A lot of news there. I mean, Mega Money in the Bank, and Sam Jax has thrown his name into that match. Now let's take a moment. Let's talk about actually how big an announcement that is. The Mega Money in the Bank match. The moment that briefcase is in your hand, you can challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship. Last year at Multivania, Justice Jake won that briefcase. He won the Mega Money in the Bank. And that same night, he cashed in on Hat Smoke to win the World Heavyweight Championship at Multivania. It can have huge ramifications on the card, because unlike the regular Money in the Bank match, it's after the biggest prize of them all. And since it'll be a ladder match, there'll be several people in. It could change so much. And let's face it, if the person who wins it is Sam Jax, that's somebody I could see going for it that night. He's become that powerful. And hang on a second. I'm getting a phone call. Being told I should take it because it's relevant to what we just looked at. So, caller, are you on the phone?
Yes, hello. I didn't expect it to be in this so soon. Oh, wow. I thought I'd be waiting in line, but hey there. Is it yes?
Yeah, we've talked before. You're Sam Jax's representative, correct?
Yeah. Stable Temple here, representing more or less my client, Sam Jax,
sure.
and for the most extension, his faction too.
Sure, absolutely. So obviously, as we said, a huge announcement with the Mega Money in the Bank, and Sam Jax being the first name thrown in. As I was saying before your call came through, last year we saw that be the complete game changer in the world heavyweight scene, leading to Justice Jake's title run, a match which, by the way, Nexi award winning match. It definitely went down in the histories of our business. So what is it you have for us? Obviously you don't call us on just a whim. You have something you need to talk about.
Well. I was gonna be like, because obviously we're so early in the show. Like, things have happened throughout the course of the show that I was gonna be like, this happened, that happened, and I would like the person we think like to ask what my client was to think, but they arrived back the night after the show, and I think all three of them said they were going out for a walk, and as far as I know, they haven't come back ever since. But I just know that my client has plans. He says upon plans for up to the Mega Money in the Bank match, and then things afterward if he wins.
I'm worried a little bit, sir, because I've watched enough of Bridge series that when somebody like Sam Jax says he's going out for a walk, that's concerning. All right. Well, you know what? Thank you very much. We've got a lot to go through tonight. But
of course, yes.
Maybe after we cover more of the show, if you want to show up, if you call in later, we might have more to talk about.
Maybe, possibly. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
All right. With that, moving on to the next match. This was an interesting event. So One Chance, of course, one of the rookies, up against Suplex Sam, a man who has wrestled all over our business. He has been both a Warzone, then Flashbang, then Warzone again wrestler, part of Shoot Nation, former bounty hunter for the Inquisition, former member of Nakamo Worldwide, and, of course, currently member of VIP, going against the man who's always looking for one more chance. And Sam has shown, especially since his joining VIP, it's as if working with people like The Beef and Wilson has brought out his inner brutality, and he's really been showing how he is the absolute suplex machine that he is. And of course, coming up against this man Juan, this man who people try to get past his inglorious past. Let's be honest, no one will ever let him forget where he comes from. And as much as he tries to find his way past it, and certainly not Suplex Sam, who after another one of those gets a decisive and quick victory. For those of you paying attention, that match lasted approximately 2 minutes. But just when you thought, well, that was great, Sam squashed this guy, Sam's former partner in Shoot Nation, his former comrade in Nakama Worldwide, Devin, comes and attacks. And of course, for his trouble, gets a double beat down from Sam and The Beef. But Devin, somebody willing to give as good as he gets. And Devin, you know what? Not a man I'm going to sleep on. If you don't want to know your history, in the second ever episode of Friday Night Flashbang, Devin was in the main event against The Creation, who had pinned him the week before in Flashbang's first ever tag match. And Devin tapped out The Creation. Now, true, this is before Dr. Caliban conducted several upgrades on his son, but still, Devin is one of a handful that have singles victories over The Creation. And things happened in other things that maybe not things he would be happy with, but ultimately, Devin is somebody who has absolutely been done dirt by the members of Shoot Nation. His former partner, when they were discarded by Trashman Jones, and then Sam just abandoned him to go join with VIP. And now he's back. We'll have to see where I'm sure this is going to become very interesting. With that stated, we need to move on. And and speaking of moving on, so of course earlier we heard Sam Jax with his commentary on the Mega Money in the Bank match. Now we hear from Omega Club, Alpha Kong.
While I am very grateful to be included in that matchup, I will not be in that big oof. I will not be going for your title, bartender. Instead, in my stead, it will be Mega, who deserves a chance to regain what is his. For I have a bigger goal. You see, after that win, I talked to the brass, and with Mega taking my place, going after bartender, I, too, will be putting my name into the Mega Money in the Bank ladder match. Because I am long overdue to hold the grandest prize in professional wrestling. And once
Oh boy! Oh, you're throwing your hat into the big Money in the Bank match. Well, I got some good news for you. So is Trice. So you'll have some company in that match. Also, I'd like to announce that I will be going after the Big Oof Championship because Legion is long overdue for some championship gold. Somehow I am not surprised to see Trice put his name in there. He used to be an honorable warrior.
and I still respect his skill inside this squared circle. But if he wants to stand between me and my destiny, he will face the wrath of the Hidden Lotus. I will be the one to grab that briefcase. Not him, and not Semjax.
That's fine. Honestly, I don't care what you do. Because I'm a little sick and tired of everybody saying that we're the bad guys. Do people forget that I never got an opportunity to get my hands on Dr. Grimm? Do people seem to forget that Trice never got another crack at the Big Oof Championship after he lost it to DJ Milsner? We have been overlooked and underappreciated, and that is what Legion has been all about from day one.
And what have you done other than whine and cry about it? You may have beaten us at Future Shock, but rather than revel in your victory and try to use it as momentum, you come out here and you cry and you whine, and people don't really care about some generic jerk in a mask.
Legion's not going to whine anymore. Legion is just going to take what they want. Like we took the belts off VIP and sent them to Flashbang. Like we're going to take our opportunities and rip the belts off of Bart Ender, Fierce Strikes, and whoever ends up walking out of Multivania with that heavyweight title, you best believe they're getting cashed in on.
That is good for you, Kane, but you have wasted enough of our time, these people's time, and clearly you have nothing of relevance to say. So just remember to keep your words extremely soft, because you may be force-fed them by Mega. And before you pick up that microphone again, please, Kay, spare us. Your promos are as boring as pretty much everything else that Legion has done. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go backstage. I want you to go to catering, and I want you to find a nice piece of pie. Of humble pie. And I would like you to serve it to every member of Legion. And let Trice know I'll finish what I started in that showcase.
And there you have it. And with so we now know that Alpha Kong is going in for the Mega Money in the Bank match. We hear that we will also be having Trice in that match, and Kane will be going after the Big Oof Championship as one of the people to challenge for Bart Ender's belt, along with Mega Blitz X. A lot happening there right now. So with that, moving on, this next part. So of course, when we were covering Friday Night Flashbang, we saw so much happening with people with backstage attacks. The next match was supposed to involve Theron Eldrazi going up against Papusa PI. But while Theron was waiting in the gorilla position, he met with Vinsmoke. Let's remember that that Theron, in that disguise that was also used by Chaz Lee, interfered in a match that ultimately led to Chaz defeating this man right here, Vinsmoke, for his World Heavyweight Championship, thus making Vin's second run with the belt, one of the shortest we've had in MNW history. That did not set well with Vinsmoke. And so, he came and he found his quarry, and not wasting any time, putting the beat down on Theron. And this, say what you will about the issues that we're having between the Empire and Fate on Flashbang. This is a whole nother matter. This involved just levels of betrayal. And the fact that Theron himself doesn't even actually have a stake outside of somebody paid him a lot of money. And that's it. That's all Eldrazi and CGR ever care about is the payday. And I think they sometimes forget that, some people can still themselves they may have an issue with that. And that you can say, "Oh, I was just in it for the money." People won't care. Like a person we have on the phone with us right now, ladies and gentlemen, Vin Smoke.
Good evening.
Now, Vin, I of course know that later in the night we'll be covering your actual match from that evening, but I think that even that match pales in comparison to what happened to you at the with Theron in the gorilla position. Do you want to talk about it for a moment?
I'm just doing what I see as fit. Theron screwed me out of a title shot. Theron screwed me out of me still being the world heavyweight champion. And I'm doing what comes natural to me.
All right, and fair enough. And as I said, I from my perspective, I don't think there's anyone that can really disagree with your position, even if they don't necessarily agree with the tactic. I think that everyone understands where you're coming from.
And this is just step one. This is not including everybody else that I have in my target sites. Trashman Jones, Justice Jake, and Chaz Lee himself, but I'll get to him sooner or later.
Fair enough.
Everybody.
Go ahead.
Hold on, let me finish.
All right. Go ahead, Vin Smoke.
Everybody who's ever wronged me in my life, I'm coming for them. They will pay dearly with their lives, because now I am an unchained pit bull. I'll go after whoever I want, wherever I want, however I want, because now I have a reason to, and it's a good enough reason. Nobody can argue with it.
All right. Well, thank you very much for stopping by, Vin Smoke, and chilling words and warnings to those you have in your sights. Thank you, sir.
Everybody, exactly, and everybody will watch their back if they know what's good for them.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Have a nice day.
Ladies and gentlemen, Vin Smoke Sanji. Now, of course, that was supposed to lead into a match between Theron Eldrazi and Papusa PI. Well, turns out Papusa still kept his appointment in the ring as he comes out to face the other member of the Outlaws, CJR Killer. And a lot of the root of this is the fact that it was the detective work of Papusa that determined that one of the people using that black mask and hoodie disguise was Theron Eldrazi, working at the behest of Chaz Lee. And that was why we were going to have a match between Theron and Papusa, because, well, Papusa outed him. But with that not happening, we end up with the next best thing, which is the other outlaw, CJR Killer. CJR, of course, cash job repeat, coming to the ring. And again, I suppose what you could say is, snitches get stitches. Hang on, we're having a little issue in the production truck. See if we can do something about that. Give me just a second. There we are. Yeah, anyway. And this is one of the things. Neither of these men have had singles competition in a long while. But at least CGR has been keeping his skills honed in the tag division. Papusa, Papusa's been more investigating than he has been wrestling. Is there no sound on the video? Hang on. Oh, I know.
2, 3.
There we are. And with that, it was CGR Killer picking up the win. Yeah, when I was trying to fix the audio problem, I accidentally turned the volume off. And now that happens right there. CGR Killer beating Papusa and getting some measure of retribution for his partner in the ring. But ladies and gentlemen, far be it from us to not get the full story. So a few minutes ago, we heard from Vinsmoke Sanjay on his attack on Theron Eldrazi in the gorilla position. It's only fair we give the other side a chance to air theirs. Ladies and gentlemen, on half of the Outlaws, Theron Eldrazi.
Doc, I got one question for you.
Okay, sure. I'm not sure why you called me Doc, but we'll go with that.
Do you think Vinsmoke just signed his own death warrant?
You know what? Most people, I'd say possibly, but this is Vinsmoke Sanjay. He is one of the toughest sons of bitches in the roster.
He may be one of the toughest, but he's not the smartest. You see, let me tell you one thing Vin did. Vin, you just pissed me off. Sure, you won the battle, but is everyone out there tonight listening to this, watching this, and watching Warzone knows Warzone is goddamn outlaw country, Vinsmoke. And now I'm about ready to start handing out toe tags because you threw a temper tantrum because, you didn't get what you wanted. Huh, that sounds like what a merch job is supposed to be, doesn't it, Jerry?
I mean, that is one thing we were mentioning when we were covering the segment.
So, Vin, whether I see you this week, whether I see you at Multivania, you're leaving in a body bag. Play for blood, and allow me to officially invite you to outlaw country.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Theron Eldrazi calling out Vinsmoke Sanjay. Also from tweeting out on social media, Kath Gina saying, Theron, remember, get shots. Vinsmoke is filled with God knows what. I don't know how things work with former symbiote hosts. I'm not a doctor. I leave that to the medical professionals. And really, it's kind of rough because Vin's on Warzone, so their backstage doctor is Dr. Krim. Yeah. Okay. You know what? I'm just going to leave that one there, and we're going to move on with the show because we still got a lot to cover, including the next person to come to the ring. A lot of people are mad because of everything we were just talking about. The whole situation with Theron Eldrazi and Vinsmoke and Chaz Lee. And one of those people that's really mad about the situation is Aiden Zero.
Jake got screwed, and it turns out that Chaz Lee is a punk-ass bitch, which is what all of this boils down to. Chaz, who is supposed to be one of the leaders of High Voltage, the founders of this damn faction, has never actually been able to get the job done without us. Tag belts, trios titles, it doesn't matter. See, here's the truth about you, Chaz Lee. You might have sold your soul to the devil for the heavyweight championship, but that's only because we were getting sick and tired of carrying you on our damn back. You got rid of us. You did us a favor, you punk bitch. You were the dead weight. You could never get the job done. So what you did is you got your old cronies to do your job for you. I don't think I've been sleeping. I know you're backstage friends with your buddies, and now you're gonna come out here and turn this into Madison Square Garden? I don't think so. So I'll tell you what, I'm calling out the leftover faces of fear. And I'm calling out Mean too. Our Sawyer, you're as much of a punk bitch as anybody. Zocco turned on us, Chaz turned on us, and you're saying you want to stick by your road, bro? Bitch, all you do is come out here and talk about this Reddit thread or this meme. But you haven't been a heavyweight champion in years either. You and Chaz are both a bunch of bitches. So how about a rep of your factions come out here and I'll prove to you that it's 0 hour right now.
So there you have it. Call out from Aiden Zero. Not happy with what happened with Chaz Lee basically turning his back and backstabbing high voltage. Also, we have tweeting out on social media, Vinsmoke responding to Theron Eldrazi. That's just my game, Theron. You'll join me in the body bag. All right. That's going to get heated. Well, while we're mulling that chilling thought over, it's time for our next match. We still got a lot to go. A lot happened on Warzone last week, folks. And the next one, well, we heard earlier from Samjax talking about him throwing his hat in the ring for the mega money in the big bank match. And then right here on this very program, we had the representative of the Bloodline coming out to speak a bit. So the next match also involves members of the Conquest Bloodline. Specifically, it is Samjax and Carnival coming to face the members of Nakama Worldwide Power Surge and the big oof champion himself, Bart Ender. And this is where you really start wondering about what's going on with Nakama Worldwide of late. It's the faction formed by Trashman Jones, but of late it seems to be far more under the influence of Bart Ender. And let's be honest, Bart Ender, I mean, he only joined Nakama Worldwide in part to try and be a more positive influence on Power Surge. And now as the Big Oof champion and somebody, trying to bring honor back to that belt and honor the great holders in the past, he seems to be having that positive influence just on the entire vibe of the faction itself. But on the other hand, they're up against the Conquest Bloodline. This is a faction. Let's be honest. When they started, I think some people tended to treat them a little bit as a joke. But based on their performance and how much they've done, nobody's laughing anymore. They are one of the top factions. Samjax is a main event player. Currently, as of this evening that we're watching, Gorm was the Warpgate Hardcore Champion. And if he wins that Mega Money in the Big Bank match, there's a good chance, there's a high probability that Samjax will become the World Champion. And so a lot of people have said that if there was an award for Most Improved Wrestler, that it would be Samjax that would be the winner, going from where he was to the heights he currently stands. And definitely somebody who's going to take on somebody like Bart Ender. And now Bart Ender, former current Big Oof champion, former Trios champion. I believe that former also tag team champion. But then Samjax, former Nexus Titan champion. A lot of gold held between these two men. It does sort of feel like they are a matched pair. Makes me wonder what we might see happening between these two in the future. They seem so evenly balanced out between each other. But while they fight on the outside, Power Surge gets the upper hand on Carnival, and thus Nakama Worldwide picks up the win, and frankly a well-deserved win on the part of Power Surge. And the veteran instincts of Bart Ender keeping the far more dangerous Samjax focused on him. Also on social media, we're getting a tweet on social media from the chocolate zombie himself, Graven, saying, Chaz has always been a joke. Why do you think he built Zacho in the first place? To compensate for everything he couldn't. Okay. I will just take that as it is. I'm not just interested in how Chaz might react to it. I'm a little worried about how Zacho will react to that. But in the meantime, the show must march on. Remember how I said earlier about how we count out segments? That was segment number 9 of Warzone. We have, that was 9. We have 8 more to go. So let's get to it. And the next, we go down to the ring again to hear from Another faction leader, ladies and gentlemen, the leader of the Absolute Units, Absolute Washington.
No, why I'm out here is because this concerns all the units. Because let's think back to the C101. We were the only people to have our title reign recognized, and yet even then it was short-lived. And we've never really gotten an opportunity for those belts since then. Now, yeah, we had a chance to get ourselves in the conversation last week. We blew that opportunity. But I'm a persuasive man, so I sat the brass down. I sat him down and I told him, hey, you don't want one of your hottest teams on the sidelines for Multivania, so how about we do this? You see, the Interdimensional Championship is being defended against a bunch of Flashbang guys at Multivania, and they get a chance to take their belt back. So I was like, you know what? Doom defends the Trios titles at Multivania, but they ain't doing it against the Warzone team. Shouldn't we have an opportunity to get them belts back? And the brass said, yeah, that makes kind of a lot of sense, actually. So here's what's going to happen. The Absolute Units will be in a Trios #1 contendership match at Multivania. Who are we going to face? Not for me to say. But the winner of that match will face the winner of whoever Doom faces at the pay-per-view at a future Flashbang event. So whether that's Doom, whether that's, I don't know, what was that other team called? Fabulous. Whether that ends up being, what are they, the AAA, call 1-800, whatever. Whichever one of y'all walk out of Multivania with the Trios titles, I can promise you the units will be the new Trios champion and bring those belts home. And that is an absolute guarantee.
All right, strong words from Absolute Washington. Now, let's, so as we know, tomorrow night on Friday Night Flashbang, AAA will face off against Fabulous. The winner of that match will go on to face Doom at Multivania for the Trios Championship. And now we've heard that Absolute Washington has made a deal with the brass, and on a future installment of Flashbang, the Absolute Units will come from Warzone and challenge whoever of those three teams holds the Trios Championship for a chance to bring the Trios Championship back to its home on Warzone. And that just gets me thinking, because and when you're looking at the Absolute Units, we're talking Absolute Washington, we're talking TJ the Mint Gable, and we are talking Forrest the Fortress Wade. We are talking, if you've not been paying attention, they are an effective and powerful team. And they're a team that I could see going up against any of those three and having a real shot at coming home with those belts. So that's huge news. And really, the first window we have into what things are going to look like post Multivania. We get so locked into the big show and it's Multivania and all these huge things are going to happen. And then you got to remember, there is life after Multivania. Things happen next. And that is where Absolute Washington is looking, is what's next for his team and what's the opportunity they're going for. So with that, I'm being reminded that the units still have to win their match. That's a good point. Thank you very much, Forrest. Got a little ahead of myself there. Got really excited. Well, with that, the next match, well, he called him out.
Aiden Zero!
It is Aiden Zero versus R. Sawyer versus Dr. Grimm. And that's just, you look at this, it's the man from the future, the bot from the future, and a man who, let's face it, looks to the future and reminds us that time is only a construct. A supervillain, a cyberpunk refugee, and from what I've been able to track down, a prototype Terminator. That's the book I have on R. Sawyer. it's very worrying. But I suppose that's somebody that everyone would be used to dealing with. But more importantly, Dr. Grimm, former leader of the Order, former member now of the Faces of Fear, and now I suppose a partner in whatever it is that Chaz Lee has cooked up, along with Grizzly Adams. Grizzly Adams, former Faces of Fear, former Four Horsemen. It's like something new is forming. Something new, something terrifying, and something that's really pissed off Aiden Zero.
And out to the corner, Aiden. Back elbow.
It's like our Sawyer's there, our Sawyer there, of course, for the standing up for his Robro, Zacho. Everyone's got their own reason for being in this match, and in the end, it's only one man can win. And I doubt that whatever argument's going on here, and I think there's several, are going to be settled anytime soon. If anything, I got a feeling we're getting a sneak preview of events that are going to play out at Multivania. And as this match wears on, we see Dr. Grimm taking on our Sawyer directly. Remember, Dr. Grimm, just for a little history lesson, the future version of Chaz Lee built Zacho Duo to come back and prevent Dr. Grimm from enacting some plan that would have led to some horrible cataclysmic event. And all we know is Zacho succeeded in that mission. That event never happened. And now a different version of Chaz Lee has teamed with Dr. Grimm. And Dr. Grimm, with that mandible claw, defeats our Sawyer and wins the match. Also tweeting out on social media, Kath Gina, plus side to Dr. Grimm being on Warzone, being the Warzone doctor. I've managed several medical contracts on Warzone. Okay. And then our Sawyer. Oh no, our Sawyer is watching and tweeting out, yeah, Dr. Grimm's virus made me tap, and I'm not sure if I'm... And then a whole bunch of binary. Okay. I know who you go to if you're a biological being and sick. Who do you do? Does our Sawyer have to go see, I don't know, Lasume? Oh, I'm being reminded that actually our IT technician is Notorious CAT. That's fair. Yeah. Sorry, you should make an appointment with the cat. I'm sure that will you'll be feeling fine. Oh, absolutely fine. I have great faith in his ability. If not, I think I have the OmniGeeks number somewhere around here. Meantime, in everything we've just been talking about, there's one person that would like to get his part of the record set straight. Ladies and gentlemen, Chaz Lee.
So I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, I've been scheming this for a very, very long time. You could even say as far back as when Zacho decided to stab us all in the back. Maybe, possibly. The timeline is unimportant. The length of time, the specificity of it is unimportant. What is important is that in the end, it worked. I am your new heavyweight champion. After all, time is but a concept. Ladies and gentlemen, the future is now, and it is not disputed. The future is Chaz Lee. The future is the Murder Cave.
Oh, wait a second. What in the world? Chaz, I understand you have a lot on your mind, but Multivania is around the corner, and I believe we need to find a contender for you, Chaz, or should I say contenders for your championship.
Let me guess. You're going to give Vin Smoke Sanji an opportunity to come back down here and win his title back. I'm done with Vin Smoke. He lost fair and square. He took his eye off the prize, just like he did when Justice Jake came and cashed in on him. He didn't get a rematch after that. He shouldn't get a rematch now.
As much as I'm inclined to disagree with you, Chaz, the brass seems to agree. But Vince Smoke will still have an opportunity of another kind, even though I can't squeeze him into this match. However, there are some individuals that I can put in this triple threat match that you're about to be in at the main event of Multivania.
Yeah. I figured it was going to come down to this. One more match for all the marbles. Chaz Lee versus Justice Jake versus Zacco Duo. Sorry, did I steal your thunder? Believe me, Lawyerson, or Lawson, whatever you call yourself, I'm about 3 steps ahead of you and the brass. I have been for a long time.
Well, how about you get ahead of this? You have a match here tonight, champ. And so does the rest of your faction. Because Grizzly Adams will be making his re-debut in singles competition, and you, Chaz, need to find a tag partner for tonight's match against Justice Jake and Zacco Duo. So why don't you deal with that?
I've already got you covered because I already have somebody I can lean on. You thought taking Grizzly away from me was going to be an issue? Nah, man. Again, you're a little slow on the uptake, but it's okay. So's the whole multiverse. So are these people. I mean, this show went on hiatus and nothing changed. They're still sheep.
Well, while you're busy patting yourself on the back, let me tell you what Vince Smoke will be up to. Like Legion tried to ruin earlier tonight, we will be having a fatal 4-way elimination extreme rules match, the winner of which will be facing Fear Strikes for the Nexus Titan Championship. And Vince Smoke will be in that match. Enjoy your tag match, Chaz.
And a lot to unpack there. First off, Murder Cave? That okay. Nothing ominous sounding about that at all. All right, so we know Multivania now. Chaz Lee in a triple threat against former heavyweight champion Justice Jake and Zacco Duo. That will be, that is the match I think that needs to happen. That is going to be, as they used to say, a barn burner. And of course, the 4-way later to determine who will face Fear Strikes for the Nexus Titan belt. But now let's go to the ring for the in-ring return of a member of what is, I guess now, the Murder Cave, as Wonderball of High Voltage comes to the ring to face the man who is known as War Incarnate, Grizzly Adams. For people who don't remember, Grizzly Adams is a former world heavyweight champion, the former leader of the New Four Horsemen, and until recently a member of the Faces of Fear. And now part of this new faction that is rising out of the Faces' ashes. A question that hasn't been really answered to my satisfaction yet. Are the Faces of Fear gone? Is that faction disbanded? I'm definitely going to be paying attention to Warzone this Saturday to see if we get an answer to that. In the meantime, Grizzly Adams, one of absolutely the most brutal wrestlers that has ever been on the MNW payroll, taking on the relative rookie Wonderball. Let's not forget that Grizzly Adams has wrestled on both Warzone and Flashbang. He has run a reign of terror across this company. And everywhere he goes, he is not, not somebody you take lightly. As you can see here, his matches always are an exercise in absolute brutality. And with that last knee, you'd think it was out of it. Wonderball has resiliency that I don't know that he ever had to pull on quite like this before. But still, I mean, how much can he take? This is an absolute beating at the hands of Grizzly Adams. And at this point, you start wondering if it's not just in Wonderball's best interest to just let the 3 count happen like it did here. Although I don't think that was a choice. I think Grizzly knocked him out. And there it is. No ring rust on War Incarnate but somebody who's not willing to take things lying down. That is Zacho Duo's partner in meme, the unstoppable Malice. And I think this starts to show where things are going. If this Murder Cave is looking to try and run roughshod over the MNW roster, it looks like that the force that's going to oppose them, at least one of them, are the main event mechs.exe as Malice puts the reset button on Adams. Which leads me to a really odd thought. Blue screen, thank you. I keep thinking it's the reset button. That's the other guy's. That's Zacho's move. That's the blue screen. Thank you. I should restudy the finishing move list, I suppose. But does this mean... is it going to be time to cheer for the main event mechs.exe? That's a sobering thought. Well, while that thought percolates in my head, we have another match to get to. One that Lawson decreed, and that is the tag match featuring the unlikely pairing of Zacho Duo and Justice Jake against Chesley and Arkolf. Yeah, that's right. The so-called Murder Cave has found a 4th member in the Allfather, the gatekeeper himself, Arkolf, which I guess means, and from what we've heard, this is, in fact, an actual transfer, an actual trade, a draft pick, Arkolf, coming to Warzone. But if this is a draft pick, usually those are trades. So if Warzone got Arkolf, what did Flashbang get? I think that's a good question, and one I'd certainly like to see the answer to. In the meantime, you have, I mean, if there's somebody, you know, that's going to be joining Chesley where you're like, okay, there's going to definitely be a murder. Arkolf's one of them. Arkolf, let us not forget, Arkolf is the man who summoned the Inquisition to the Nexus. All of the death and destruction that happened due to the presence of the Inquisition is the fault of Arkolf. This is the man that put Burnout Vaughn in the hospital after he won the belt off of the Boozy Brawler. And he held that championship until it was taken off him by Death himself, Helix Sucks. At which point he transferred to Flashbang, where he's interestingly held a fairly low profile. And that starts the question, has he just been biding his time? What, as always, the motivations of the Allfather, inscrutable. But interestingly, you have him facing off against Jake, while Zacho Duo is going off the, I suppose, variant version of his creator with against Justice Jake, and there being the reset button, and Arkolf breaking up the pin attempt. And this shows you the absolute brutality of the Allfather. And I'm sure if it had been anyone else but a bot, that would have been the end of that match right there. But Arkolf not giving up and then hitting the drop toe hold, which many people say is the most devastating move in the multiverse. And perhaps it is, because that drop toe hold leading to a camel clutch, and Arkolf made him humble. Thus, does the faction of the Murder Cave pick up their first official win as a faction. And if that weren't enough, right after that match, Grizzly Adams came to the ring with a microphone because he had a few points he wanted to put straight amongst the multiverse.
Sawyer, you want to poke the bear. You want to say that you stripped me of my title in Multivania, that you'd like another opportunity at war. Well, boy, I'm about to put you in your place. You had no right to steal the title that was mine, but now we have it back, and I am going to dismantle you. Zako Duo might be a bastard stepchild, but on Father's Day, I made Wonder Ball my bitch, and at Multivania, I will be your daddy and serve you a beating that you will remember for the rest of your life, but not just you. Oh no, that would be too easy. Your little blue bitch Malice will be right next to you, and so will High Voltage. I don't give a damn which of them it is. But all of you will bear witness to the devastation of the Gatekeeper Archive, the newest draft pick, and War Incarnate. A triple threat tornado tag team match. We will put all of this to rest. Chaz will defend his heavyweight title, and we will eliminate all obstacles in his path. You won't be there in the main event to help your friends, and they will fall victim to the Murder Cave.
I'm still not happy with that name. Murder Cave? And especially from somebody like Grizzly Adams, who, by the way, I never want him to refer to himself as daddy again. Just, no. These are things that must be stricken from the book. You know what? We're just going to move to the next match. And this, again, is this fatal four-way to determine who will face off against Fear Strikes. Will it be Vinsmoke? Will it be Louis McDonald? Will it be Wilson, son of Will? Or will it be Lady Boots?
185 pounds and one of the rising stars.
So apparently, at least one person who was in this match wasn't supposed to be in this match.
And Louis going right after Lady
And and we'll get to that in a second. Getting that in a second.
Sharpshooter on Wilson.
Yeah, I'll wait till the end before we get there. That's spoilers territory. I'm sorry. Let's focus on this match. Let's focus on things you love to see, like Lady Boots beating the hell out of Louis McDonald, because who doesn't love to see Louis McDonald get beat on?
And now Louis catching a back.
And then speaking of beating on Louis McDonald, Vinsmoke.
Lady Boots going
You know, we've had, people have had a lot of problems with Vinsmoke over the years, but I think everyone can agree to punching Louis McDonald in the face.
And now, oh no, Wilson, you wouldn't.
And it's hard, it's interesting. I think it says a lot about Louis McDonald when his presence makes sure that Wilson, son of Will, is not the most hated man in the match.
Smoking gun.
I think that's a real accomplishment, and I'm sure Louis would be proud of it.
Vinsmoke getting hit.
And of course, during all of this, Lady Boots. Lady Boots, who up until recently had been more than happy to do combat via her stand, Feel Good Inc. But of late, since joining the Conquest Bloodline, becoming more and more willing to come out and mix it up with the boys. And if there's something she's good at, it's brutality.
Trying to make him kiss the boot. Vince says, I refuse.
And we have, and in the end, now I don't believe this was an elimination match, but it came down to this. You have Vinsmoke, you have Boots,
and putting the knees up.
And Boots, as we said, showing this brutal side of herself This thing that makes her such an effective member of the Conquest bloodline.
Vinsmoke play the spoiler and get the rematch with Fear Strikes that he's probably
And
wanted
even
for a
though
while.
I
Maybe
know
it's the
that
consolation prize,
Vinsmoke would
but it's a
love
hell
to
of
get
a
his
boot to
hands
the face.
on Vinsmoke, get his hands on gold once again,
Yes!
the victory goes to Lady Boots. And there was a lot of people were happy. A lot of people were behind Boots winning this match until the revelation. And what was that revelation? That revelation was somebody else was supposed to be in that match. And while they were getting ready in Gorilla, that person was attacked by Lady Boots, knocked out, and she took that person's place. So there will be a rematch of that match this Saturday on Warzone, featuring the original intended 4 participants. And I'm sure everyone will be keeping a very close eye on where Boots and the rest of the Conquest bloodline is. And tweeting out on social media, once again, Kath Gina, just be glad it wasn't Kevin, Grimm, Vinsmoke, Louie, Will, or Trashman who called himself Daddy Jerry. Honestly, I think I would prefer just about any one of those guys but Grizzly. Over Grizzly. Especially Trashman, because you just wouldn't take him seriously. Will, because who pays attention to Will? Louie, because who pays attention to Louie? Vinsmoke, because Vinsmoke wouldn't make you feel like you needed to take a shower afterwards. And Grimm would never say that. Grimm would never lower himself to say that. And Kevin doesn't really talk that much. So I'm going to stick with my original point. Also, let's get on. We have one last match. We are almost there, folks. We have one last match, the main event. And it was, if you remember earlier in the evening, when we were hearing from Semjax, he was talking about the main event would be an open challenge for Gorm's Warpgate Hardcore Championship. And who stepped up to that open challenge? Why, ladies and gentlemen, it's the mad lad of London himself, Ginger Boy, facing Gorm. Let's quick flashback for everyone. Both Gorm and Ginger Boy, former members of the Flashbang roster. Ginger Boy being the inaugural Flashbang heavyweight champion. And since then, after last year's Multivania, he was traded to Warzone for Helix Sucks. And since then, he has been struggling on the Warzone roster to make the same impact that he had over on Flashbang. And now here he is going up against somebody who I would have to go through the books. I do not off the top of my head remember if Ginger Boy and Gorm ever had any direct face-offs during their time on the Flashbang roster. But also a hardcore match, let's face it, this is something that kind of really, in so many ways, favors Ginger Boy with his MMA background and the fact that we were talking about Lady Boots and her preference for brutality. And if you want to talk about somebody who's specialized in brutality, it is definitely Ginger Boy. And here's the thing that really helps. Gorm used to these high power moves, throwing his opponent around, but having to deal here with somebody not just of the strength and speed, but the agility. The agility of Ginger Boy. And putting, literally stealing Trashman Jones' move, the Garbage Day, and using it to put Gorm through a table. And if you want to talk about brutality, if you notice here, he busted open Gorm. And while he's choking him out, Feel Good Inc., Lady Boots, Stan, and Carnival come out to interfere to help Gorm. But then in a moment that caught everyone's attention, the return of Los Bell Bros, Strongman and Flyboy Bell. Flyboy showing a new look and attitude, showing him to be a man who feels no fear, coming to make sure that Ginger Boy gets a fair shot at beating Gorm for the Warpgate Hardcore Championship.
And now turning him over, the Mad Lad,
and getting the Mad Lad lock on Gorm. And I don't care if you're a Goliath. That is one of the most devastating submission moves in professional wrestling. And thus, Ginger Boy, for the first time it's coming over to the Warzone roster, holds championship gold again. And if there's a man that deserves to be your Warpgate Hardcore Champion, it's Ginger Boy. Oh, and what a long and winding road it has been, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you. So, as we know, this weekend is Go Home Weekend for Multivania. Tomorrow night, the Go Home show for Friday Night Flashbang at 5 p.m. Pacific Time. And then at 2 p.m. Pacific Time, approximately, will be Warzone. And with that, it has been a long evening, and all I can say is for the entire crew here at MNW Firing Line, I am Jerry Aldini. Good night, everyone. And above game. Hi, folks. Oh, boy. So, you want to know the greatest challenge I'm facing right now? I have air conditioning that decided yesterday to go Tango uniform. So I don't have air conditioning while the West Coast is facing a major heat wave. Yay! I have a technician coming out tomorrow to fix it, but also, and I was telling Bosco this earlier, there was a lot. I mean, there was a total of 13 segments for Flashbang and 17 segments for Warzone. I was editing. Things happened that disrupted my normal editing schedule. So where I would normally have been done with this a while back, I edited the final asset for tonight's show last night while Remy was giving Panic gold to enchant his armor on Unexpectables. That's what I used for that. That's the best as I could give you a timeline of how late I was working last night. Yeah, boy, I wish. Yeah, there's a constant. Sinsun is teasing me in the chat because we constantly joke about what I consider hot weather in the Pacific Northwest versus what she considers it. That's actually how hot it was today here, Sen. And I'm considering it uncomfortably hot, not unbearably hot, but uncomfortably hot at 85. But we're going to peak over 100 at this weekend, which is not weather we get in the Pacific Northwest ever. Fortunately, I should have my air conditioning working again before it really gets bad. Here's hoping. Other than that, so we know, again, this weekend the Go Home show. And then July 3rd and 4th weekend is Multivania. Right now, and I know we're doing some production work on it, there will be a pre-show for both days of Multivania on the MNW YouTube channel. The YouTube team is putting stuff together. We're getting some really great support from other members of the community to get content in there to make it an interesting day. I would say this: if somebody's got an idea, like somebody who's going to be on the Multivania card, if they want to do a special preview show promo that they want to get on beforehand, get it to me by next firing line, so I can try and plan for it, and we'll try and I will, because it's the preview show, I will relax the 2.5 minute. I will give you up to 4 minutes for a Multivania promo on the preview show. Again, I'm not going to guarantee I will absolutely use it. We're still going to review it, but I will give you an extension of the normal restrictions this once, but you have to be confirmed on the Multivania card. With that, I'm at time. We managed to get it in on time. I'm feeling pretty good about myself right now. Also, and I was telling Bosco this because he was asking me why I didn't reach out to him as a co-host, and it was like, I knew he was busy. I knew a lot of the guys. Hard Luck literally wasn't available. Joe, well, you heard earlier what's going on with Joe, and he wasn't really an option. And Tim's on sabbatical. And I decided I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to see, could I do a show by myself? I want to see how it was going to go. Also tried to challenge myself to see if I could avoid as many of my verbal bad habits as I could. I'll do some reviewing of the show later to see if I succeeded.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the Multiverse Nexus Wrestling YouTube channel. If you like this video, go ahead and drop a like, share the video, subscribe to the channel for more, and ring that bell to get notified whenever we post a new video. This has been Joe, signing out.